talking screen. So I am live as well. Hello, hello.
Creator dashboard.
And we are still trying to
Manage
figure things
stream.
out. Hopefully.
Start collaborating from Stream Manager. Got it. Hold up.
It's gonna
If I go
work.
invite guests, I have like the option to invite guests, but I don't see. Wait, did I? Is there like a notification thing? My
So
Twitch.
hypothetically.
Oh, there you go. Oh, hold up.
Did you
Hold up. I
find
got a
it? Did you find it?
Yes. Oh, wait. It only supports Chrome and Firefox. Give me
Oh
a second.
no! Oh yes! That's like we actually had the exact same thing yesterday because we were already we were already sharing yesterday, and the person I was streaming with didn't have Chrome or Firefox either.
Yeah. Do you go by MAF or Velna? I go by MAF technically. Well, I don't go by either, like in real life.
Yeah.
When I think there's people who know me from like the OG days, um, who call me Vel or Velna, because like depending on how you met me online. And then most people just call me MAF, like artistically speaking, because that's the name I've got, kind of everywhere. Sorry, I'm installing Firefox.
Oh no!
Because I have it on my laptop, but I feel like if I accept it on my laptop, it's gonna try and get me to stream through the laptop, and I'm not
Maybe.
streaming through the laptop, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
maybe.
try and just yeah,
It's gonna work
keep on
out.
fire.
And I do feel like math is like such a good calling
Right?
name.
It is, and like I can say it means anything that
Yeah.
I want, which is a plus.
I
Right?
feel like if you're going with an acronym, having an M and an F in
Yeah.
it is always a bit dangerous. But
Well, but there's an A in between.
there's an A in between.
MAF is actually, I think it's like Malta Air Force.
Is
It's
it?
got a bunch. There's a bunch of things. Like if you Google MAF, there's a bunch of acronyms that it actually stands for, and I like that about the name. It's very versatile.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let me
So
go.
so what's the story behind your Discord name?
Velna.
No, your
Velna.
Discord name isn't Velna. Your Discord name is
Oh.
Olex,
Uh. Uh.
which sounds like a fancy like a watch brand.
It's a typo. It's because like Chai, my friend, was like messaging me like and doing like a shit ton of typos, and I was like, okay, because we have a server. I was like, I'll change it in the server, and I forgot, or like I couldn't. I didn't change it just in the server, and then
Mm.
when I realized it was my normal name everywhere, and I just ran with it.
All right. All right.
It's not the first time I do this on Discord.
Because I was surprised. I remember I was looking for you. I don't know,
Yeah.
to
See, the
answer
thing
or
is
write you
sometimes.
something, and then I was like, wait, did he delete Discord? Is he gone?
Sometimes. Oh shit! What's my Twitch password? Hold on. The sometimes because I have some. Sometimes I do like. I connect to people that I'm working with through Discord, right? And I forget that because I forget that sometimes like someone might want to reach out for actual work, and then they like my username is a meme.
Hmm.
Hold up. Oh, okay.
I mean, I personally, even on a professional basis, greatly enjoy it when people have like meme names or meme pictures.
I have both. I'm
Yeah,
special. I'm
yeah,
both. I'm
you're
both.
you're special. That's true. The Bobby Carr illustration.
The I kind of missed the car the username I had before. Not the username, the profile picture, which is a little sad, depressed looking van.
Oh,
Um, okay, all right. So I was doing three things at the same time. Hold up, I'm trying to log into Twitch. My authenticator out.
we can do it. We're
I'm
gonna
a
figure it
professional.
out. I love like no matter who or when or how I stream. Um, and this is not a complaint. I think it's just really amazing to notice that there's always something. Like last week, I think it was. I met up with everybody involved in a stream like an hour earlier, and we still didn't manage to start on time.
This is like it's like D&D. It's like when you gather to play D&D and D and then
Yeah.
you speak for an hour instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Firefox would like to access my microphone. Sure, why not? Get started. Oh. Okay. So now we're on backstage with the collab thing. You see that? Do you see that?
I don't see anything.
I opened your collab thing.
Uh,
Shared chat
yeah, I
moderation.
got a pop-up now. Share chat started. That's perfect. That's what we want, actually.
The
You
thing
did
is, like,
it.
is anyone getting like double feedback or something? Because I'm in a backstage that's basically like a Discord call, but on Twitch.
Hmm,
Do you not see anything like that?
I don't
Shared
see
chat is
anything like
on.
that. I don't think.
Okay, well, if there's no double feedback, I guess that's fine. Because I mean, I could just mute myself here just in case. You guys can still hear me, right? I'm gonna. Is that a no?
I mean, I can still hear you at the very least.
Okay, I guess there was double feedback. I muted. We're both muted on the backstage thing, so it should be fine. Oh, on my end. Okay, cool. All right, that's fine. That's fine. We did it. I think. Good job.
Good
Shared chat.
job. Yeah. I don't know. Clap in chat or something like that. I need to fetch something real quick. I'll be back in a minute.
Wow.
And
Okay,
then we can actually start. Hopefully, maybe.
all right. Um. Honestly, I feel like just on my end, I should start streaming more with other people. Because sometimes I leave the stream and then I just sit here thinking about me speaking to myself and chat, but like mostly to myself for the past 4 or 5 hours. They get a little cringe. Okay, hold up. Got Firefox. Especially last stream, I crashed out so bad on Portugal, and then I was just like, oh shit. Uh, I hope there were like no lurkers sitting there thinking I'm insane. Well, I mean, not more than usual. Anyways, Tim. I'm gonna ask him to explain when he comes back. But he's working on this project called Set It Off, which you can see like on the stream channel. Um, Now I will refrain from explaining what it is because I'm not a very well learned TTRPG person. I'm just the dumb artist that's doing some of the art for it. So we've been working together on this. Well, together, as in like I've been doing some doodles for him.
We've been working
Um,
together. We've been working
Hi.
together. Hi.
I'm waiting for you to explain what Set It Off actually is because I don't want to slander or say anything wrong. We
I
have
mean,
been
you've
working
already
together on this
played
too.
it. You've already played it.
I've already played it, but like I don't know, like I don't know the words to use, right? Like it's a system and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like you're the expert, so
Yeah.
you gotta do that part when you're. I'll
So
just keep doodling.
yeah, I can pitch it really quick, which I always feel like really bad doing. But the idea of setting off, so it's a system. It's a pen and paper system, and the idea is that it's setting agnostic. So it's not tied to a specific world. It's a universal system, which you can play in any existing setting or with a variety of genres. And it's supposed to be like very modern, very flexible. It doesn't use classes or races for character creation, but skills. So it's just very modular and very versatile and very nice. It's very easy to learn, very simple, but it kind of covers everything. So it's a great system, especially if you enjoy making diverse characters and like playing in different worlds, like your favorite fandoms or existing TTRPG settings. That's the idea. And the thing we are looking at right now is uh, I feel like it looks a lot like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Um, it's a ghoul,
Okay.
which
Yes.
is meant to be like a a very stereotypical, stronger undead creature?
Um, I can confirm, chiming in, that it is easy to learn and to play because I'm an idiot and I managed to play it. Did I forget everything already? Kind of, but if you're like me, it's not hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. Design wise, one of the driving factors for like how it works mechanically was actually for people who are forgetful or who maybe have like a learning disorder or mathematical disorder or these things. That it's like really easy because there's just a single way to roll dice and it's always kind of the same.
Yeah, yes, it's very simple to I still need to work on my my other character, by the way.
I mean, that's actually because I mentioned before that I had like a few notes about what we could do on stream. Was
Mm-hmm.
that we could also work or like draw your character for
Oh my
the
god, I could draw
session.
my fluorescent
Yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah. The
Honestly, that's a good call. Let's do the goal first, and then I'll switch over to that because I've been meaning to like, um, I've been trying to organize my schedule right around the things I have to do. But my problem is that I focus on one thing and then I'm like, okay, I'll push everything else to the back until I'm done with this one thing. And sometimes this one thing is like a full ass like comic chapter and everything else gets blacked out of my field of attention. So I've been going like, I need to send him that thing he asked about the character.
I mean, that's
And
fine though. That's fine.
it's been there. I have not forgotten. It's just everything else that I was trying to prioritize ended up taking more time than I expected.
Mhm. That's really fine. I can tell you that I think we are gonna be like 5 players.
Mm-hmm.
And so for everyone, this is a session we are gonna stream as well. This is gonna be on Sunday, I think, right? Yeah, I think this Sunday we're gonna play together to everybody's enjoyment, and we are playing with quite a few people, with your gang basically, and so far, out of I think the 5 players, um,
The
Ado,
essential.
he
Oh.
he wrote me first. He wrote me a long time ago, and we actually talked a lot about his character, about Stick, which is going to be a great, fun character, and I'm very excited for that. And then Odie actually wrote me yesterday, and that's it.
Nice. Hey Odie, by the way.
Hey,
What's up?
Odie. So yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was gonna do this. Well, I was obviously gonna do that this week. Don't worry, I did
Yeah.
not forget.
It's fine. I'm quite used to that actually because like all of these
Oof.
one shots I won and whenever we play it, I think it's fair game that it's like low effort for everybody because I'm just doing so many one shots and it's not like I've prepped hours and hours in advance. It's not like I made a whole world for you guys or anything. So I usually don't stress about players like
Yeah, we're all on the same page.
yeah, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, my problem with D&D in general. Well, D&D is in. I'm gonna say D&D to refer to
I know.
just like this. Yeah,
I
'cause
think
that's
it's
all I know.
so I personally I try to say pen and paper as well or P&P
And then
instead of
PNP.
D&D.
Okay.
But it's hard to get used to, isn't
PNP sounds
it?
a bit weird. Yeah.
PP.
PNP. Yeah. Hey Raf, we are talking about D&D. Yeah. Tim has a system called Set It Off that we're gonna be playing this weekend.
Yeah.
And we're here to yap a little bit about it or just in general. So you guys can know about it as well. Yeah, no, with like PNP, I, I struggle creating characters without like actual playing, right? Usually my characters, even for D&D, are really bare bones, right? It's just like it's some dude, and then I get into the game, and I'm like, oh, maybe some dude can have this and that and this going on.
Mm.
So I guess for one shot that doesn't make as much sense, but that also explains why it takes me so long to actually get to them.
So, but I think that's fine in general. I think it's obviously not optimal that we're mostly playing one shots together. Maybe we should start like a small campaign at some time, so you have more time to
Yeah,
get into
that'd be cool.
character. And yeah, because somebody in your chat, JD, said TTRPG. It's the same. So for everybody who doesn't know, TTRPG is tabletop role-playing games, and it's basically synonymous with pen and paper. But I feel like the term TTRPG is not very well known in Europe, at least. Um,
Really?
yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, at least where I'm from and in the communities I'm in, I guess,
Mhm.
pen and paper is more well known as a term than TTRPG, and I feel like
Yeah.
mostly Americans or maybe it's mostly English native English speakers. I don't know how it is in the UK are using
I'll
it.
have to take your word for it because I'm not in any community around me.
Yeah.
I think I only do this in English.
But
I think.
generally, like I feel like there's a huge shift towards using D&D to mean any kind of TTRPG, and it's a bit sad, actually. I think because I love D&D. I do. I've been running D&D for like 10 years, and um, it's just there's so many amazing TTRPG systems out there. There's great TTRPGs, and D&D is amazing if you want to run dungeon crawls, I guess, and if you want to play in the Forgotten Realms specifically. But I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of people don't play it because of that. They just play it by default because they know it, and so definitely, even outside of my own project, outside of setting off, I highly suggest everybody to check out other TTRPG systems.
Yeah. I mean, on my end, I barely play enough D&D as it is, let alone other TTRPG systems. So, and also, I mean, I basically play two campaigns or like one and a half total. That
Mm.
actually well, I guess like started another one that went for a bit, but then kind of died as well. Like obviously this probably happens more often than not, but it was all. I think it was all homebrew. So it's like there's even when people bring up D&D and they start doing D&D specific things, I'm like it kind of encompasses the more general things for me because I've never really played something that's super like in like following the actual D&D stuff. I don't know.
But it's
I
it's
don't think
fun
I'm very in
because
on it.
in a way I feel like your perception is also quite shaped by D&D. If I think of Undergarden, that's a very D&D thing. Like the
Yes and no.
I mean I've read most of it, I'm gonna say, but it's very D&D in the idea of dark elves living in these gothic
That is I would say
underground.
that's Forgotten Realms, right? But
Yeah.
that's because like the entirety of my knowledge of like dark elves, right? Well, it did start from D&D, so they were originally dark elves, like period, right? Because the do you know the story behind the Undergarden? We've told you, right? That it was basically like a D&D campaign that didn't go anywhere, and then I
Yeah.
was like, oh, but I want to use this character. So then, yes, effectively, they did just directly come from D&D. But the thing about the Dark Elves is that not just most of my Dark Elf knowledge, but most of my Forgotten Realms knowledge. So actually, I think I mentioned that on like Tumblr the other day or something. It comes from this one fever dream of a car ride that I did when I was a kid. We went all the way to like Andorra for a skiing trip. It was like 8 hours in the car, and I read like back and forth, to and from. And during that time, I brought all of the like Drizzt origin story books that I'd gotten for like Christmas or something, right, from
Mm.
R.A. Salvatore. And I read them all in this space of time, right? Like a car trip or a couple of them. I don't remember if I actually finished them all in one. And I was like 11 years old. And I've just been running with that since. Like, sometimes, even with like Baldur's Gate, people will be like, oh yeah, these like drow, that they worship this. Or, but they can also worship this. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. All I know is like Drizzt,
Yeah.
some vague things I remember about LOL.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So like lore wise, the only thing that we kind of that I kept was basically what a 10-year-old me would retain, which is like, underground, everything's purple, matriarchal society, stuff like that. So that's kind of what I retained, and I didn't want it to be tied to D&D too strongly, so I also didn't look up whether it was correct or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfectly fine, and I love Undergarden. It's just yeah. I mean, somebody in the in chat said that their biggest issue with D&D is the OGL and AI usage. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean that was actually a driving force behind me making my own system.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah,
No, I
I
mean
just feel
Wizards of the
like
Coast have been like missing a lot of marks
yeah,
recently, right?
and because it just keeps on like it keeps piling up. Like it's scandal after scandal, whether it's OGL or using AI or like missing cues on. I don't know if you heard about this, like the Hadozi thing. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, where they had like parallels between the monkey species they published and kind of like black slavery
Hmm.
history, and they just keep missing the mark, and it's a bit
Yeah, it's just like a pattern.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
guess
bit
they're
sad.
like ident.
It was like that's like because I personally I love the idea of dark elves, so I love Undergarden, but I dislike where they come from in D&D because
Hmm.
it's like this very teenage fever dream thing of having like a matriarchal, so it's run by women, so it must be evil species that's also kind of sexy but evil.
Listen, some of us like sexy and evil. Okay,
I
don't judge.
mean,
I think that's like that's my thing at least. Obviously, like nothing in terms of like, oh, it's run by women, so it's evil, crosses my mind when I do things like this. I understand like the
oh, for
undertones
sure,
that
for
like
sure.
these things originally have, right? But it's like I like evil women.
And I mean, I totally get that.
you know but yeah, no, but I get that, and I with these things, there's definitely like, if you look at the origins, even things like, yeah, like what I remember from like Drizzt's origin story and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It's dated. I don't even remember much, but I'm 100% sure it's probably super dated at this point. I Yeah.
Yeah, but D&D is like in this weird spot, both mechanical and lore-wise, where they don't want to upset old like veterans, old-time TTRPG players,
Mhm.
but at the same time they kind of want to accommodate the younger audience. So it's like really weird. They are kind of I feel like they are kind of stuck in their decision making.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, makes sense.
but yeah, I I grew up with the Neverwinter Nights games, which is a video game series that is based in the Forgotten Realms, and it's based on D&D rules. So it's got like this very close place in my heart, and I just really wish it were trying to be diplomatic. It would be different. It wouldn't be
It's okay.
run
You can
by.
say problematic things in my stream because I don't save
I
things.
I mean, I save VODs, so.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Okay. Can you delete this one? No, I'm joking. I'm
No,
joking.
no,
It's fine.
no.
Um.
But yeah, I mean, it's I'm a bit sad about the last few years about the direction it's been taken. I was really scared for a second. I don't know if you saw this on social media, and it was like probably half joked, half serious. But when Elon Musk inquired about how much Hasbro would want for D and
Yeah.
D,
Yeah. I think I saw something like that. Uh,
yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I think as well. from my perspective, again, I'm a bit of an outsider, I feel, with these things, because I grew up with fantasy, but I didn't grow up with like TTRPGs or anything. I grew up with like Aragon, David Gemmell type shit, where it's just like vague fantasy that brings up elves and dragons, but little else, right? You have maybe dwarf, like, a bit of like Lord of the Rings inspired stuff rather than D&D inspired stuff. So in D&D, in my head, I kind of still struggle to accommodate anything that isn't elf. Like in my head, it's like, oh, humans and elves, and like like fae, whatever creatures, right? But everything that's like super into like super D&D specific, any deity, any like any other race. It just goes over my head. I'm just like, it's just I put it all together with just like fantasy, right? So if you talk about like the tendency of people to assume that everything is D&D, I couldn't tell you what actually is or isn't D&D, right? To me, it's just like, yeah, no, that's just like Tolkien fantasy or
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, that's true, because this is the typical thing that creativity doesn't exist in a void, right? Everything is inspired by something.
Yeah.
And
I feel like
there's
that also kind of it contributes to the quote unquote problem of like people seeing everything as D&D, because D&D does sort of just encompass that type of fantasy as well. So you're like, if you want to do like a fantasy thing, you go, oh, okay, D&D then, because it's got the elves and the dragons.
yeah,
It's literally called Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah. But there's actually, I think, very few things that are original D&D. I think they have copyright on illithids, like on Mind Flayers, on Beholders, and
Mhm.
on Drow, which is to say the word Drow, not Dark
Mhm.
Elves per
Yeah,
se.
yeah. I mean, it'd be really hard to get a copyright on Dark Elves.
Yeah, but there's really like, I feel like there's like maybe 10 things that are really like exclusive original property of Wizards of the Coast, of D&D. But yeah,
Which is great.
which
Let it stay that way.
I also found it very amusing that Beholder is property of D&D, but then so another fast-growing TTRPG company, it's MCDM Productions. They recently brought out their own TTRPG called Draw Steel, and they featured like a beholder on like one of their key arts, like really big, huge beholder. But I think it like I think they called it differently, and visually it had
Yeah,
like
maybe it's that thing where like, yeah, if you give it the
yeah,
same name, it's a problem, but if you just approximate it, then
yeah,
it's like a gray area.
yeah. So I
I
think that
think
was
fantasy has a lot
kind
of
of
that.
bold of them, but I enjoyed it.
Maybe it's a statement,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a statement. It's like a
Yeah.
declaration of war.
Yeah. Oh,
But
sorry.
yeah,
Someone in chat asked, "Oh, is Elias dead?" On the topic of D&D. Yes, he is. He rolled a natural one on a death saving throw. That was fun, but it's fine. We'll bring him back. Death is but a suggestion.
so did this happen recently?
Yes, it was the last session.
Oh no, my condolences.
It's okay. It's okay. It was the last session, and then the session ended, so we kind of got kind of stuck on that cliffhanger.
So what do you think is Elias a he?
Yes.
Is he gonna come back?
He's an NPC
All right.
that was with us in the party, right, for a
Mm.
bit, and Odie was playing him. And then we got into this fight that we were probably gonna get TPK'd in. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Ollie managed to suggest we like go into a room and bottleneck the fight so that Michelle, because we're in a place where there's no magic. Our party is a druid, a bard, and a monk. And then Elias is a rogue, but then Elias went down within the first like 6 rounds of the fight, and so it was just me.
Wait,
like,
hold
the
up,
monk.
hold up. Within the first 6 rounds of the fight,
I don't remember
how
many
long?
rounds it
How
was.
long was the
It
fight?
was a very good fight. It was a very long fight. It was a very long fight. And it was basically most of that session, I think, or at least like the second half of that session, because we were up against like 5 people. At the beginning it was like 2, right? And the thing is, like, there was only like 4 of us, right? But then it was probably less than 6 rounds, because within like 2 strikes, they would take any of us down, right? None of us had enough HP or AC to handle these people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I think I got hit once and I lost like over half my health pool. So I was like, we cannot withstand hits. We're gonna die really fastly. And then Ollie was like, there's a room, and if we get into the room and like circle the entrance, right? The three of us that are still standing, we get advantage because we're flanking, and they can only enter the room one at a time. So hopefully we can like hold them from entering all at once and attacking us all at once, right?
Mm.
And that was the only way we could actually win that fight, because I'm pretty sure I would have gotten down if I got hit. And I was the only one who was able to actually use offensive attacks because
So
magic is
you're
blocked
playing the
out.
monk?
I'm playing the monk, yeah.
Right. And so who's running that session? OD?
Odie, yeah, this is Odie's game.
For OD's entertainment, what do we think? Is Elias will Elias be able to be saved or not?
Now,
No,
Elias,
no.
listen, Elias is a very important NPC, okay? And so I'm 100% sure there's a way to bring him back. Also, like, he's got shady shit going on with magic and, like, gods and stuff. He was not supposed to go down, I don't think.
Hmm.
But now I know Odie is gonna make him dead, so until we actually find a way to bring him back. Odie, shut up, nobody asked you.
But maybe the campaign is
joking.
just gonna take a
I'm
different
joking.
turn. But I
No, I'm
remember I
bringing him back.
had I ran a campaign a while ago, and the players also kind of screwed up and got into a fight that was way too dangerous. But I was also very inexperienced in running balanced encounters, so I misjudged as well. And the party decided to split, and we're like two players going in, who then were ambushed by two assassin NPCs who had like special sneak attack features and stuff. And then on the first turn, I hit a net 20 on an attack versus the bard, and this didn't just put him down. This actually instant killed him accidentally.
Yeah.
And this really wasn't planned. And then I was like, all right, so how can I save this? And I decided that like the leader of the enemies, like the BBEG in this case, who was a priest, like a cleric character, is just gonna revive the player character to question him. And I had like a little extra session with that player where I was
Yeah.
torturing him and asking questions and getting
Nice.
intel,
Mm.
and like just because I felt like it was too nice to just revive the character and tell everybody. I did try to put like extra tension in it, and then I let the other player save him. So who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe the villains have plans for Elias as well.
I had the idea when I was in that fight, like I knew we were all probably gonna go down, like if it wasn't for that idea that Ollie had with the room. And my thought was that we weren't gonna actually TPK, right? Like we'd be down and then like I don't know, the enemies, yeah, would take us in for interrogation or just like knock us out, whatever. Like we didn't actually expect him to roll a natural one on a death saving throw, is what I'm trying to say. Like we, because another in fact, I think everyone in the party went down except for my monk. At some point, and then they got like stabilized. But Elias was out of our reach, so we couldn't stabilize him. So yeah, I don't think that was supposed to happen. We've killed the enemies, and I think Elias will stay dead for a while, because narratively speaking, it gives for pretty like juicy drama.
Hmm.
But I'll find a way to get him back, or I'm coming back with a different character. My character's way too attached to him.
I mean, at the very least, what I also always think funny is so is that your entire party? The what was it? Druid,
It's a
monk.
bard, a druid, and a monk. Yeah, I mean Elias was there just to like just temporarily. So technically, we are just a
Yeah,
druid, a
yeah.
bard, and a monk.
So this kind of depends on what version of D&D you're playing in, but so in theory, the bard could have like a spell secret to revive, like could learn spell secret to revive somebody. But what I think is even funnier always when there's like an important death is letting the druid handle the reviving because I
Oh
think if I
no,
remember
no.
right, the only revive spell a druid learned is the one where you randomly roll, like reincarnation style, what species the character is gonna turn into.
Oh my god. No, I wouldn't trust our druid to revive him anyways, let alone with that. Uh, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. It'll be fine. Got many NPCs to pick from, let's make the emotional damage. Oh yeah, then his sister shows up like
Yeah.
at the end of that session. Um, so we're like in a big emotional cliffhanger. She hates him, I think. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what's gonna actually go down.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be updated on that, to hear what's happening.
I keep drawing like random pieces of art. You know how I roll. Nothing necessarily makes sense or has a logic to it as long as like I feel like drawing it.
But I
And so
feel
people
like
are like, "The fuck? Like, did we miss something?" And I'm like, "Yes, you missed many things, but I'm only gonna draw the parts that I want."
but I feel like in a way, um, it appears like everything makes sense to me. And
Hmm.
often when I check out your stuff, I feel like, oh no, I must have missed so much, like in between. So you're just like gaslighting me into believing that I'm not observant or that I'm not paying enough attention. So it's fine. It's fine.
I.
No, nobody notices.
It's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
It's fine.
I listen. I put the bare minimum effort, which is like, for instance, if I've got like a new pairing that I'm obsessed with, I will try and draw like a couple of build up, and by build up I mean like soft core drawings before I jump straight into like I don't know an SFW. I don't want to like like suddenly sprinkle or like whiplash, especially my patrons with like, hey, new characters, and they're already here. So I do like an introduction. I draw the characters alone, and then I'm like, okay, green light.
Let's go.
Yeah. Um, Listen, I'm a comic maker. Comics are boring 99% of the time, and then that 1% makes it all worth it. But I need to keep myself fed until I get to that 1%, you know?
That does sound a little bit like masochistic, doesn't it? Like
Yep.
just putting yourself through all the pain until you get that one juicy payoff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the payoff is worth it to us comic creators, but it definitely takes a while. It takes a while to get there.
I would actually love my father used to like my father has passed, but he was a comic creator as well. I would love to
Oh,
get
really?
his insight on this. He did very different comics than you're doing, but I don't know. Is that a
Yeah, I
general
think
comic thing?
honestly, I don't know because I feel like it might be kind of exclusive to this sort of like long form saga type comics, where you're just like you start by thinking about the cool scenes and the cool things you're gonna pull, and then you have to build everything else up,
Hmm.
you know.
I'm actually
And
I started working with a new artist recently, Pen Dot Lilixi Sketch, and I do think I haven't talked about it, but I do think it's a she. But they are also a comic artist, and maybe I just have to ask them.
what did you say the name was?
Oh, it's Pen Dot, and then I think it should be Lily XEE sketch E. It's like it's a
Sure.
I mean I always have to look it up.
Oh wait, I know. I see it on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. They have a
Oh, that's
great
a cute
style.
style.
It's a
Yeah,
really
I
cute
like it.
style. They also do a lot of Dungeons and Dragons related stuff, so definitely check them out.
Yeah. I think I may have run into this profile at some point. It's vaguely familiar.
Oh yeah, I actually think your art styles are somewhat like slightly similar, but maybe that's also
It's
just a comic artist
Yeah,
thing.
it's the same genre, I would
Yeah.
say. The same sort of genre. Yeah. It's really funny because to me, like comics, it's like my bread and butter, right? Like I do this all the time. Kind of, I don't work on them every day net per se. There's usually a time where I need to like just work on something else in between comics, right? Like I just finished a chapter, I gotta take a breather, I gotta do something that isn't as sort of, doesn't need to connect to a narrative, doesn't need to do anything that big before I can actually jump into the next chapter. Or like a mini comic, I like doing like 5-10 page long comics
Mm-hmm.
that aren't connected to anything or they're connected but you don't need to like introduce what's going on, right? You don't need to build up for it, you can just jump straight into the scenes, like a single scene type comic. I like doing that sort of thing in between bigger chapters. But to me that's just like what one does, right? Like that's being an artist for me. I'm not a commission artist, I'm not like an illustrator per se. I do other things here and there, but the art is about the comic, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm talking to like other artists and whatnot, and I realize that it's like obviously it's not a universal experience, but it to me it keeps feeling like it is. And then I talk to someone who's like just trying a comic out for the first time, and they're like describing all these things like, oh my god, like I don't know, like I didn't expect to feel like this, or like I've got, I can't even read what I just made, like what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, that's just like that's the common experience that I've had over all these years. Um, in particular, the part where you make a comic and then you refuse to read it back. I don't know if this is like, I don't think it's like super super universal, but I've seen other people talk about it. And I definitely have it. Especially, I had it specifically with Stray Souls,
Hmm.
especially when things have like a really serious tone to them. It is hard to read back. Like you just kind of cringe at it. When you're writing it, you're writing it. When you're doing the thumbnailing, everything works out, everything's fine, and then you read it back, and it's like you're assaulted with the cringe. And it's not like you could have prevented it. Like sometimes you just gotta get yourself through the cringe, if that makes sense. And you know it's cringe as you're writing it, but there's no other way. I was trying to talk to, was it like Ling, who I'm gonna be helping out at MCM. She's making a little comic with like Baldur's Gate inspired with Cazador and Velioth, and she's got like really strong like design skills and character drawing. Like she's a really good artist, but like specifically her like graphic design and her sense of aesthetics is very solid compared to like mine, for instance. And she'd never really done a comic, so she's been going through like the 5 stages of grief. And she's like, I think this is ass. Like I can't read this back. I'm cringing so hard. And I'm like, sweetie,
This will
that's just
never go away.
it doesn't go away. Yeah, no, you're not gonna end up. I mean, sometimes I do, especially these days, because I'm more proud of my artwork, and like I'm getting to cooler parts of the story, etc. So it doesn't happen as much, but there's always going to be that thing where you're like, why? How like the tone is wrong, the pacing is wrong. As I'm writing it, I'm like, yeah, no, this is the correct pacing. This is what this character would say, etc. But as I look back at it, I'm like, what the. Like immediately after, I'm like, oh shit, oh this is kind of cringe. Oh
Hmm.
no.
I think
But that's
I
yeah.
think I kind of understand it. Like it's probably a more peasant perspective, but I think a lot of us can imagine the same thing when they hear recordings of themselves, right?
Hmm.
That's something I
Hmm.
have very strongly because I sound very different in my own mind than I do on recordings. And so whenever I hear my
Yeah.
like a playback of myself, it's like reading your lines again. I cringe very hard.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Same.
so it's probably a
I mean,
similar
even in the
experience,
end.
but it's hoping or assuming that I don't sound that terrible. Um,
To other
Probably
people.
the same goes for your dialogue. That yeah.
Yeah, it's like you gotta trust the process, right? Because when I'm
Yeah.
thumbnailing, and I have a very chaotic sort of way of doing things, I've realized it's not that common. But I just kind of like I don't script. I don't I don't even have all my pages open. Like I know some like Link for instance is using Clip Studio EX, right? Which has it has like more like comic and book and webtoon tools, right? Versus the version that I use where I'm just drawing, right? Like it's one canvas. I can have multiple canvases open in different tabs, but it's very like bare bones. And she has like all of her pages sort of lined up, right, as she works on them. And I don't even have that. Like the most I do is I look at the previous page I just made to make sure I'm not repeating like layouts, right? Like I'm not making the exact same sort of panel sequence to twice in a row because I wouldn't put that above me. Um, so I do that, and then I write all the dialogue as it happens. Like I don't know exactly what conversations are gonna happen in a chapter, right? I know key events and situations, and maybe I know some dialogue because it's like a conversation that I've been thinking about. But other than that, it's just kind of it's very much just going with the flow. And because I'm going with the flow, I get into this state, right, of like knowing what they have to say next, or like being in the characters' heads, being in the moment, etc. And I thumbnail it, and then I work on it, and then when I look back at it, I'm no longer in that state, right? And so if I read like a page in isolation, it feels like it's completely like the pacing feels off, what they say feels off, and I'm like, what? Because you're reading it, right? Like it's not like a film or a like a like a it's not it doesn't flow in time, right? You're looking at static page and static dialogue. So unless you're like going in with the flow, it's always going to feel awkward, right? Like you just read like a couple of exchanges in isolation. I've always had this problem with comics, even other people's comics. Some comic dialogue is horrible to me. Like I read that shit and I'm like, what the fuck? Who wrote this and why, right? But that's also because I'm out of context, right? If I don't read the whole thing, it can sound so awkward to just capture like a moment in a comic. I don't know how to explain this. I get this a lot.
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
thought bubbles, right? Where you're like when you read a thought bubble and you're like, what am I looking at?
yeah.
You
But I
know?
get that. I do have to say, I think your process in and of itself is that's like a skill itself, isn't it? To even be able to, um, like not have everything scripted out and prepped and paneled in advance. So as long as it works for you, I think like I never noticed any inconsistencies or repeated paneling or anything like that. So
It's like intuition, I guess, because it is part of the reason why I don't feel comfortable teaching people how to make comics or anything. I can teach, like, I can explain how my process goes and I can explain the tools that I use, but I think a lot of my process, even with art, just in general, is intuition, right? Like, I don't follow
yeah,
anything in my
yeah,
head
yeah.
other than like
It's like
this feels the vibes, the vibes feel okay.
it's like last time where you did all the animal illustrations, if you remember, like
Mhm.
the bear and the bird and everything. And like I feel like they turned out really good. And I know that for many artists, it can be challenging to do like realistic or like good looking animals. And I asked you like, oh, why are you so good at drawing animals? Because I thought like maybe you did that for a time or something, and you were just like references, and I was like, yes, but that's like I can look at references, but I can't draw a fucking horse.
Yeah, I have a problem with animals because I don't I'm not as comfortable with animals as I am with people, obviously, like drawing. But I understand volume and anatomy, right? Like if you tell me create a creature that has 5 arms, I could somehow fit the muscle groups in and stuff like that because I understand how that works, right? And so I try to apply that to animals, and what happens is like if I'm trying to like from memory draw a wolf or a dog or like a fox, right? It will end up looking like a canine. Like you can recognize that as like, oh yeah, that's like a dog or a wolf-like creature. But I'm missing the specific design elements that make people like instinctively recognize that as a wolf, if that makes sense, right? Like it looks believable. It looks like a creature
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
exist, but there's something not quite adding up. Like it's a bit uncanny when I try and like draw
I
animals from
was
memory.
I was about to say a bit uncanny. I'm kind of curious how your non-referenced wolf looks like now, but
As a kid, I feel like I could channel my 2005, 2006 self that only drew wolves and make it somehow like work out. But because my style didn't keep up with that, right? Like my style is more realistic now.
Hmm.
But then I still remember these vague ideas of like how to draw a wolf type thing. And I had a Balto phase as well, so I also know how to draw like really stylized dog
Oh,
wolf
but the
creatures.
the the dog you did, he's so cute.
Because I was using reference, and I was still like, this is like completely out of like what I'm used to doing. But you know, it works out. With references, I think I can draw anything just about.
Hmm.
Um,
By the way, if you wanna, if chat wants to see all of the amazing animals, I think most of them I have posted on setting off PNP on social media, on Twitter and
yeah, you
Instagram and
also
stuff.
give it a go.
Um,
Do you have links to link in chat?
I mean, I think I do. You can find almost all of our stuff
I do
on.
reblog when I see like on Blue Sky and stuff like that. So if you look at my account, you
Oh
can
yeah,
probably
I
also find.
know you. I'm always very thankful. You should find most of my socials and the back kit and stuff on settingoffpnp.com. I just posted that in chat. And yeah, so if anybody's interested, we are going live with our crowdfunding campaign in about a week, and it's basically like a math art book, half of it. So
If you want to see me use this Artemis brush that I left by the sideway,
I'm very
that I keep
thankful
bringing
that
back,
yeah.
I keep bringing back for setting off.
I'm very thankful you do that. I felt quite bad asking you to,
Now,
because
to be fair, sometimes it makes me almost tempted to bring it back to my other art, like when I do these sketches and I'm like, oh, this brush is fun. Why did I leave it? But then I try and use it again on other things, and I'm like,
I mean I think
it's
it's
very
a really good brush for the sketch style, for sure.
yes,
Um,
yes.
I get that it doesn't maybe click as much for the comics and for the actually rendered or painted stuff.
Um, let me.
Oh yeah, but your chat agrees with you. Toxic relationship with this brush.
Oh, so we're all getting a toxic relationship with Artemis.
Yeah.
I almost got into a brush crisis today actually, because I bought a sketchbook, a couple of sketchbooks. I shared it on Instagram, but it's by C. Shea, which is a Polish artist that has like the most beautiful fucking sketch style ever. Like gorgeous, beautiful. And every time I see their art, and I'm just like, God, I should have like a softer, wider pencil brush on me, and I should use it. And then I sit there thinking, should I go back to Artemis? My problem with brushes like Artemis is like depending on how you use them, the feel and the look are completely different, right? So if I use it as a like for more detailed work, or if I don't know, like Artemis looks like this, right? There's a huge range of things that this brush can
Yeah,
look like,
yeah,
you
sure.
know? So if I use it like this, right, it looks like a little sort of pencil brush, it's fine. And then if I decide to use it as a more clean thing, then it feels completely different. And I use like more line weight, more shadows. And then I get a bit tired because I'm like, oh, like the shadows and the weight is not exactly, it's a very strange thing. I feel like this is a very artist thing, to have this relationship with a brush.
I mean, I think it's very interesting. I feel like from talking to artists, there's like two extremes. People who feel very strongly about their brushes and who have like very intricate settings, or people who just use the default brush.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
There's like nothing in between.
There's artists out there whose work is amazing, and then you zoom in to see what their actual brush work, and it's fucking like G pen, like it looks like this, and you're like, what? What do you mean? There's no texture, there's no line width difference, the lines barely connect, and you're like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, how does this look so good when you actually, like, put everything together? And it's because, like, their coloring or their shape language or whatnot. Yeah, people like denim catfishes, that's a good example. Like, I love line work, and sometimes I zoom in because something looks so fucking. Even, like, I will say, even Dear Lord Hunter has a bit of this. Like sometimes her work, some of her work or her line work is super clean, super like sharp, etc. But some of her like sketch work looks so tasty, like brush wise. And then I zoom in on that, and I'm like, it's like there's not even like pen pressure settings here. It's like it's like she's like made like like a sketch like this, and then the way that she fixed it was by deleting bits of it, just like taking the eraser and sort of like making it, like an actual shape, which is wild. Every artist does their own thing. That's why when people ask me what brush are you using or what are you doing, I just kind of sometimes I answer, but sometimes I'm like it's not gonna make a difference because you're gonna use it completely different. The only way to replicate an artist's thing is to
To be the
kind of have,
artist.
yeah, basically to have their sort of style.
To be a
All right,
changeling.
I'm gonna doodle. I want to doodle the character for the thing as well.
Alright, let's do that. So, for everybody else, for the session we are playing on Sunday, which you can check out as well, we're going to stream it. Um, so, I don't have a lot of information about your character. I know
There's
that it's like, I think you want, I don't know if it's a joke or not, but I think it was meant to be like an anglerfish kind of character. So,
yeah, because I gave him like fluorescence.
yeah. So what they are able to do is they can glow in the dark. They are kind of like a rogue character, but they can also, because I force you to, they can also cast spells. They can become invisible and they can create fire. That's like the two spells they can do. So yeah, that's
Kind
it.
They can create fire, and they're an anglerfish, and they can
Yeah,
use spells, and they're a rogue, right?
yeah.
Can I put an anglerfish on screen? Is anyone on chat shocked by the image of an anglerfish? I'll just put like a drawing. No. Oh, I can't do this. I need to copy and paste. Okay, reference board. Anglerfish. Fire.
I feel like the reference alone, I'm a bit scared.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. You're gonna make it
Hold it.
work.
Yeah. I need like a picture of like fire in a hand. There you go.
So I'm gonna pop up the character sheet. I want to see if there's anything else that's like yes, fire.
What else is there? You said he can cast a spell.
Yeah.
Did we specify actually where do I have the character sheet?
So I have it open right here, so I can tell you. So their highest stat is agility. They have high memory. They are bad in creativity and presence, so they are like not terribly charismatic. Um, then so yeah, they have typical rogue stuff like they can pick locks. They are good at stealing. They have sneak attack, and they glow in the dark, as I said. And they can cast fire manipulation and invisibility. That's
Oh
all
yeah,
they can do.
can go.
They don't wear armor, but they do have clothes. So something
Has clothes.
has clothes. Has a whip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so kind of kinky.
I remember the whip.
And then they do have a focus, which is something in setting off. If you're a spellcaster, you need to have like you need to hold a focus in one hand to cast spells. But the focus can be anything. It could be like a wand or a staff or a gemstone or a lucky coin or a magic pipe or an instrument or a book or whatever you fancy. What else? They have a backpack. They have fireworks in their backpack. That's very important.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. Yeah.
Fire
Yeah.
in backpack.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
That's all there is to this character. So do you want to talk about do you want to talk about them? Are they
Sure.
them, he, she? What are they?
Uh,
And what's their
Chat.
name? Because they don't have a name yet, I don't think.
Chat. Who's this character? Do we want the they them? Actually, I haven't played a they them in a long time, or made a they them in a long time. We can have a they them.
Hmm.
Have like a non-binary anglerfish character. Oh, sorry, I cracked my neck. My dentist told me to stop cracking my neck. Because I cracked it at the dentist, and she was like, that's gonna hurt you. If you tried yoga or Pilates.
So
Okay.
just out of spite, you're doing it more now.
No, I'm doing it the same amount. I'm convinced it fixes me. You
Hmm.
know, like I'm a little bit off course, and then I crack my neck both sides, and then I'm back.
That's kind of like a
Locked in.
dad thing to me because the father of my partner always does this weird like back to back lifting the other person up to crack the entire spine, and it's probably the most unhealthy thing you can do. But they like all of her siblings and herself, they are like convinced it's like
Yeah.
a miracle
It's because
solver.
it feels nice, right? Like it feels I like when things crack.
Fair, valid. You switched off your
Okay.
stream. Why?
What?
In
Oh,
Discord?
I did?
Yeah.
That was not me. I apologize. Make selection.
Oh, I mean, actually, this is like, no. Why did this happen? It's a mystery.
Is it going now?
No. But everybody in my chat can see your amazing Discord avatar now. In very, very big.
Listen, I'm streaming now
Hmm.
for you, right? Do you see my stream on Discord? Did my internet just die?
Hold on. I don't think so, but maybe it's
Wait, you
maybe
need
it's
to rejoin my on the call. Do you see
Ah,
it?
yeah, there, yeah. We can do this.
All right.
We can do this, chat. There it is.
They, them. There we go. I got one single character trait.
I mean, Discord is weird. I'm very sorry, chat.
I mean, I did. Well, I didn't even close what I had. Yeah, it was probably on my end, but I don't know why. So, anyways, let's pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Anglerfish.
So they, them. Maybe we can think of it. Maybe chat has some ideas about names for they, them, anglerfish, magic, rogue. What do you think? Are they like big or small?
They're agile, right? So they gotta be
They
like,
are
they
agile.
can't be too big and clumsy.
I don't know. Like one of the most famous D&D rogues was like this thick old guy whose name I can't remember. But
I'm giving them sharp teeth.
I mean that's always a good choice. No overbite.
Oh wait, hold up. Like big, one tooth, one single tooth is bigger than the rest of them.
So what do we think? Is Math gonna manage to make them hot?
Listen, I've been challenged to not make a character hot before.
Hmm.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can. I don't think I want to. The illusion of free will is that I can do like different characters that look less sexy.
So your
Please make
chat is
them budge.
yeah. Please make them budge. There was also a small round speedball character.
Small round speedball. Small round speedball.
No, fuck them. Make
Can
them
I?
hot.
To be, I mean, no, fuck them. I, I'm gonna give them bangs. I haven't decided on the rest. I've decided I'm gonna give them bangs that cover the eyes, so
Hmm.
that you only see this smile with the tooth sticking out.
So that they can secretly have really fucked up, scary eyes, but they still kind of look hot.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Perfect.
There you
Is
go.
will they have like an actual like I don't know how you call the part of the anglerfish that makes the anglerfish
Yes.
like
Yes.
through the bangs.
Yeah. It's just like uh yeah, they could have it. Hold up. Hold up, let me think.
I mean, they could also have like two of them, like
I
galaxy
was thinking
buns
having like two of them
or like antenna.
like yeah, like sticking out.
They kind of look like eyes now, though.
They do. Hold up, hold up. Make them like look like a little crown thing. You know when tieflings have those horns that go
Yeah,
like curl over the
yeah,
head?
yeah, yeah,
Could
yeah.
do that, but with anglerfish, like glittery things. Like a little anglerfish a crown of glitter and things. And they could push it back. Ooh, they can push them back and like tie them to their hair, so it's like, like a hair tie, a ponytail, but there's like a couple of like glittering things
Y-
there because they're the hidden little antennae thing.
Your chat can't hear me anymore.
Uh, hold up. Can you speak?
I can
Oh,
speak.
wait, no, that's not that. Okay, hold up.
You're doing so good.
Okay, Tim's back. Tim's back. I forgot my
Thank
computer
you.
does. My computer does this thing where it also stops listening to the desktop at random times. That
Hmm.
happens with music, and I forgot it also happens with you.
That's okay. It's not like we were just discussing the crown eyes.
Exactly. And then crown eyes and big, big smile full of teeth.
Thank you, chat. I still feel like the crown kind of looks like eyes, but
It's okay.
it's okay. Also, kind of looks like a mustache. Do you see it? Do you see
I see it. I
it?
see it. Okay. Fireworks.
Is that the
Whip.
next important thing?
No, the next important thing is the whip.
True, true.
I'm still thinking about what the hair can look like. Do I want to give them? Oh, can I give them like fish ears?
Sure, sure,
Like
you can.
fish ears.
Hmm.
Yay.
Oh, something that might also work. I don't know how fond we are of the antenna like this, but I was just thinking having it like wrapped around an ear and then just dropping down like an ear wing.
Ooh, I like that. That's sexier than the antenna like this, actually. Like, wait.
I think that's really cute.
That is cute, actually. And they can like untwirl it from the
Yeah.
ear and swing it around. Oh my god, they just like lay on the ground with this thing swinging from one side to the other, with like playing with like a cat, like a stray cat. This is like one of those old browser games. Yeah, it's a we're in a live what do you call the things where people make characters in? P crew.
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. True, true.
Bob. Yeah, okay, I can give them a Bob. Like Savika season 2. Just for you, Ralph.
So, what was your favorite character you've ever played?
Uh, mechanically, I mean, I haven't played those many characters. I feel like it's very satisfying to play a monk and have 4
Pop,
rounds
pop.
of punching
Yeah, I get that.
every like turn. That's like the best thing ever, and I didn't know. Like I was sleeping on that. Um,
I feel
so
like
I
in
would
general, a
say,
lot of people sleep on Monk.
yeah,
I
no, monk is great. Like I'm a super big fan right now. Um, in terms of like personality, I would say the easiest one for me to play was probably Nita at the beginning because her personality and mine aligned a lot of the sessions. As in, like she could be the voice of reason
Hmm.
in a way that I would also be the voice of reason and tell people to like do things, and like she wasn't necessarily super. She's very straightforward. Like I didn't have to like think about what would need to say. I would just say it and then I'd be like, yeah, no, Nita said this, right?
Yeah,
So
I
that
mean,
in terms of like how easy it was to play, or that was also the point because it was my first time playing, and so I was like, I don't know if I can role play something or like someone who like I'm not similar to in some sense, and so that was kind of the point of creating Nita as that kind of character.
I think it's very smart as a beginner, or if you're not comfortable, to play a character who's like
Yeah,
similar in behavior or
exactly.
speech to yourself. So yeah, that's a good choice. Good choice.
Um, Actually, no, I'm gonna give them a ponytail so that they can tie this to the ponytail as well if they don't want it out. I'm having a lot of fun playing Michelle though. It's just like if I'm in a low energy day, suddenly Michelle is like completely dead inside, and that's not in character most of the time. However, now that Elias is dead,
Oh no.
I get to bring evil Michelle into the ring.
To the
So
limelight.
that's probably gonna stop being.
So what's that campaign about where Elias just died? What is the focus of your character's rage?
Elias is dead. um,
Oh, Odie,
the,
why evil Michelle gonna be dead inside just like his boyfriend?
she likes to rub it in my face. It's okay. It's okay. I can get through this. So far the campaign is like we are traveling in a like hidden kingdom type thing, right? Like we're discovering what actually is going on. There's like god things going on. There's an evil king that may or may not be dead. There's another king that's his son that nobody likes. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Michelle in particular isn't even from anywhere near. He comes from fantasy France, um, which is away, and he's just like he's this noble. He's got a noble background, but he was kind of adopted into a noble family, and he's a fuck up in many ways. So they just sort of like soft cut him off. He still he can still like drop by and say hi to his family, but they don't want him around necessarily. So he's just traveling around doing rich kid things. You
Just
know the
adventure
like
boy.
the kind of like rich people that go out and like travel fucking the Amazon or whatever. Like he's kind of doing that, except less in an influencer type way and more in a well, I can just do whatever I want. No, they don't want me back home, but at the same time, I do have some funds and whatnot, so I'm just gonna
That's fair. That's fair.
fuck around and find out. And then he got dragged into this, and then his plot became Elias because I was rizzing everyone up. I was
So
trying to
did
riz every character
you
that showed
whiz
up.
up Elias? Did
I
you?
risked. Well, Elias just happened to be the first NPC, or like one of the first NPCs we actually like spent any amount of time with, right? And I was like, the second he was on screen, I was like, I'm gonna throw it back to Elias, you know, like I'm gonna
Mm.
start pulling the Riz card. Um, and I it started off as a joke, but then it stopped being a joke, and now my plot is Elias. That's it. I just want them
Well,
to end up
your
happy
plot
and
just
together.
died, I
No, he
think.
didn't. No,
Well,
fine.
all the best to the two of you, I guess.
Thank you.
Hmm.
It's okay. I'm excited to play evil Michelle and also bring Elias back.
I mean, I'm sure it's gonna work out. How long have you been playing that campaign?
Odie, how long have we been
Odie.
playing this campaign?
And actually, follow up question for Odie. How long do you think the campaign is gonna go?
Excited to actually get the plot now. Wrong.
Oh, so you're almost coming up to your 1 year anniversary in a month. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, we're like session 30.
That's pretty
Something.
solid. So you're like
Yeah.
meeting every second week, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Initially, we did it almost every week, and then it kind of like, things got in the way.
So the
Yeah.
campaign's gonna go until middle or end of this year, depending on shenanigans. So if you guys don't do shenanigans, the campaign is gonna be you're approaching the finale. So maybe you're not gonna be able to bring Elias back.
I am. Tim, Tim,
Yeah, yeah.
don't jinx it.
I'm not jinxing it. I'm just trying to give you the push to really focus on getting Elias back.
I don't need I don't need a push.
But this is looking good.
Thank you. I'm distracted, so I'm just defaulting back to my bases, my roots.
Is there anything else we need for anglerfish to really get the anglerfish across? I don't know.
Bite,
Hmm,
bite.
maybe. Always
I
like.
accidentally started thinking more of like a shark-ish,
I mean, I
shark
think that's
anglerfish
because of the
character.
smile,
So
isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It's at the end of the year. Yeah, yeah. I think like maybe if we really manage to streamline the campaign from the vibes, I would say perhaps we could aim to like the end of this year.
Hmm. And yes, I totally agree. What is time? I can't believe myself that like half the year is already over. It's not
Why
right.
why
It's
would you
not.
say something
It's not.
so brave yet so controversial? I don't want to think about it because like I was like, oh yeah, I'll like go. I won't travel this year, right? I was like,
Hmm.
this year I'm gonna chill. I'm not gonna like go anywhere like for conventions or whatnot. Now I got MCM, and then the meet like the week after I'm gonna go over to Belgium, and then we're gonna go to Dukomi for a day,
Oh,
which
so you're
tech
coming?
for a day
Hmm.
just as a visitor. We got a ticket for Sunday because it was sold out.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and because someone's gonna cosplay Kostya, my little guy from Thug. And so, not just because of that, but that was like the last push I needed to go. Because I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to go to MCM, then I traveling like really on top of it. I don't know if I'll have the energy. Probably won't have the energy, realistically speaking. But like, that's never stopped me before.
Hmm.
So then I've got that. Then I'm gonna go back to London for like the Linkin Park concert.
Ah, fun.
That's just gonna be for a weekend though. And then I still need to work out like an Italy trip that I'll have in.
But I love that you're saying you're not going to travel this year. Proceeds
Exactly,
to.
that's the point. That's the point I was trying to come up to get across.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm not good at this. And then next year I want to try and because I'm thinking about my move more actively again to Poland, and I'm gonna try and like take a month or two to actually try and live there for a bit before I decide whether I want to
Mm.
move, you know.
Is there a particular, like a specific region in Poland you're looking at?
I'm looking at Krakow because mostly because like well I've been there the most and I've actually spent like a couple of weeks straight there, so I'm more comfortable with like the general area, and I've got more people around that area that I know, right? Which I'm not saying I'm gonna go there to rely on like friends or whatnot, but in case, you know, I need to reach out to someone or help with something,
Oh yeah, for
I would
sure.
have like one or two people who might be able to help. The second option would be maybe like Wrocław because I also know a couple of people there, but and I've been there, but I went there for like a day and it was raining a lot. So we ended up just like sitting at like a cafe and then another one because it was really bad weather. So I couldn't actually see a lot of the place. So my perception of Wrocław it's a bit skewed. But I'll aim for Krakow and then see. I considered Warsaw,
Hmm.
but Warsaw is like the lot. It's got a lot of like very different vibes, and it's also further away geographically speaking. Like the flight is longer, and for some reason that's like a strong enough argument for me to pick somewhere else.
I mean,
It's like it's almost like 4 hours flight to
yeah,
Warsaw, and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to do that.
I mean, it's even further away from everything else, yeah. And honestly, I feel like it's always tricky to go to a capital of a
Yeah.
country. Like, I'm not fond of capital cities. And this
Yeah,
is
I mean,
like,
in comparison, like Krakow is a lot more like touristy in the sense that it's more like a European sort of
hmm,
vibe to it, and Warsaw is you can tell that it was kind of like built from the ground. You know, it was built from the ground up to be like more of a like a modern capital type thing. And I understand a lot of people don't like it. I understand why. I honestly don't have a big problem from what I've seen. Like it is not a I don't think it's a nice looking city, but like
yeah,
that's not a
yeah.
huge thing for me, right? Um, so I would consider it like as an option,
Hmm.
but it's not the strongest contender.
I'm sure Krakow is gonna work out.
Yeah.
Thank you for the raid,
Thanks for
son of
rating.
Snake.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
I hope you had a good stream. But yes, so that is my current maybe plan,
Hmm.
and then I'll take it from there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
So, what about our little anglerfish person? Um, do we have any
Uh,
name suggestions from chat? Maybe now that they have like a vibe going on. And what do you think, Maf? What is the one shot gonna be about?
I don't know. You did ask us something, right? You asked us like what their
What's
greatest
your greatest wish and your greatest fear is? Yeah,
the greatest wish and the greatest fear.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
I'll
I
need to
do
think
need
about
to know that.
that.
You can
I'll
even,
tell you.
if you want, you can even give me like other wishes and other fears. Like the more the merrier.
Okay. Okay. Oh, let me look at what an anglerfish
What is an
does.
anglerfish afraid
Yeah.
of?
Exactly.
Natural predators anglerfish.
Fish. I guess they're afraid of the like surface, like the light, because they live in the dark, you know? Maybe.
I feel like so your chat has got such a good suggestion. Greatest fear having to wear glasses.
You know what? Like, maybe this is just like a really fashionable rogue character, and our greatest fear is like a fashion crime. But and then I don't know if I can play them because I'm not a very fashionable person myself. Anglerfish have perfected the art of deep sea fishing. They lure prey. Well, we know this with the K. It snaps it up. It's a fish. Up to 4 feet? That's insane.
They can be really big, yeah. They
Um,
could gobble us up.
oh my god.
Imagine.
Yeah, 1 meter, like 1.2 meters.
I can imagine
Natural.
it's like this
Yeah.
this thing where you're like, oh, it looks scary, but it's probably not that bad, and then it
It's
is.
covered in spikes. They're afraid of overfishing.
Oh, oh no.
Okay, cool facts. The fishing rod growing from the female anglerfish snout ends in a glowing blob of light. At the tip of this modified fin ray is a small organ that contains millions of light-producing bacteria. Well, that's okay. In some species, the males are tiny,
Oh,
with simplified body features, and they live as parasites on the female. That's romantic. Allowing the females to feed on whatever food's available. The males seem to have evolved for one purpose only, to find a female and deliver sperm. That's it? There's nothing else. Oh god, hold up. Where's Wikipedia?
I feel like opening random animal articles or information is a great way to world build. I can see like a
Right?
whole community, a whole society living like anglerfish.
Always reminds me of one of my favorite
That's actually the
tweets.
way dark elves are meant to be.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of my favorite tweets. Oh, also I'm giving them black hands. Like I like this design thing where like your hands are
Yeah,
blacked
yeah,
out.
I get that
Just
for
for no
sure.
reason. There's this one tweet that I have saved in my like meme folder that is someone quote tweeting a like science article saying moons can have moons and they're called moon,
Moon,
like moon
moon.
moons. Yeah, and then the quote retweet just says me attempting to do any type of world building. And honestly,
True.
yeah,
Yeah,
like, world building is stupid sometimes, but so is normal world things.
yeah, yeah. I feel like often game masters who do world building get too much into their heads about, like myself included, about things having to be like complex and interesting named. I like on the setting I'm working on at the moment. There's like there's a city state located next to like a crystallized amber sea, and I was thinking about names so long until it finally clicked, and I just called the city like Ambria. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're all around amber, so you can just be called that, whatever.
Yeah, I have
Sometimes
given
you
up.
just have to go for Moon Moon.
I have given up. Yeah, I've given up on any sort of complex world building naming convention long ago.
Yeah.
I used to be, and when I say I used to be, is when I was like 12, 13. You know, we were reading all these fantasy things, and you're like, oh my god, I could make a story. And I was like, it has to be the most original story to ever original. You know, every single name that I create has to be completely unique, never before seen. So I Google everything, make sure it doesn't mean anything, make sure it's never been mentioned in any blog ever, you know. Um, and now I just name characters after cocktails, cause why not?
So
There's a whole section of characters in Thug that are just named after cocktails, cause some cocktails have really cool names.
let's see. What cocktail name could work for this character? Shamrock.
Oh,
Uh,
wait.
there is a cocktail called like I'm specifically for some reason I'm looking at green and blue cocktails because I was like, for anglerfish colors we have to go with something like that. There's a there's a green cocktail called a wise my love, and I think
Why is my love?
that's a really good name.
Corpse Reviver number blue is a cocktail. Like I just googled blue cocktail names. Corpse Reviver. That's crazy. Wait, hold up, I found a list.
I mean, I am kind
Angelo
of surprised by the
Azzurro.
amount of cocktails there are because I'm I'm usually not much into it. So
This one's just called AMF. Um,
um,
Frostbite. No, it can't be frostbite. They make fire.
there's a blue cocktail called Tiffany Mimosas. So I feel like that's a great name.
Hello, hello. What's up?
There's a cocktail called Shark Infested Water. Fun.
Blue Arrow. Blue Margarita. Chi-Chi.
Chi-Chi is a cute name.
Chi-Chi's a cute name. Sapphire Martini. Jack Frost. Adios, motherfucker. Blaze. Blaze is a good name, actually. Sex in the driveway? I like
when
Blaze.
you order sex on the beach on
Wait,
Wish.
wait. I like Blaze. Does Blaze mean name in French? I'm gonna call them Blaze. Blaze is a good name. Thanks, Raph. Blaze. Also, because they got fire, so it's very on the nose.
Yeah.
It's like an artist name. There we go.
That works.
I'm gonna clean this up a little. I think I got enough traits to do a little doodle.
I mean, I really like the. I feel like that it's very cliche, but I really like the hair.
Right. I don't have any character with this kind of hair. That's kind of my criteria in character design most of the time these days. Is like, have I created a character with this exact hairstyle and like facial feature? And if it's a no, then everything's like fair game.
But I mean, for Raphael, c'est quoi ton blaze? Do you if you say it, do you pronounce it like do you pronounce blaze like
Blasé.
English or is yeah blasé like?
Blaz.
I mean, blasé means something else.
I guess it'd be Blaz. Blaz?
Yeah,
It's not blasé. You don't have like an accent there.
because blasé is if you're like
Wait, you're from Luxembourg, right?
yeah.
Do
So
you speak French?
I speak French. Even if like you know I've been living in Germany for over 10 years, so I don't really
So,
blasé da.
so.
So I don't really use my French. It's very rusty.
Me with Portuguese.
I mean, I would expect that you at least speak Portuguese with your family or something.
Yeah, I
But
only
then
speak
again,
Portuguese with my family, and we don't have those like many extensive conversations. So sometimes I'm
fair,
trying to like explain something, I just freeze mid-sentence.
fair. I can tell you, you know, because the native language for Luxembourg is Luxembourgish. That's a whole other topic. But since I live in Germany and there's like nobody who speaks this here, and I
I
only
didn't even know
call
that
with
was
my
a thing.
I only call with my family like I don't know once a month or something or every second month. Like if you move to Poland, you're gonna unlearn Portuguese completely. I think.
I mean, I moved to the UK and I basically unlearned Portuguese. Also, like even living in Portugal, apart from my family, which I do see fairly frequently, even with my Portuguese friends, which at this point aren't those many. I've got like a couple of friends that I sometimes speak to. If we text in English.
Mm-mm.
'Cause Portuguese is not a practical language to like speak or like type. Everything's too long and complicated.
Is it?
Um, so I can already tell that my Portuguese, it like obviously it's still good, but it's like stagnating a little bit. Like there's a lot of things that I want to that like if I try and say in Portuguese, it takes me a while to get the right words. and I'm okay with that. Oh, I haven't saved this yet.
So
Late.
in your chat, somebody was like, "I love their tooth." Is that is that like a yeah
It's
the
the two.
the tooth the tooth is very adorable.
Yeah, little tooth. I like this little tooth sticking out as well.
Yeah,
I think I do like character designs where the teeth just do weird things, to be fair.
I feel like it's such a good design choice to do something with the teeth. I'm
It's
like,
underused as well. Like people forget, I forget teeth sometimes. Things like Arcane did it really well, where like characters have like fairly unique teeth,
yeah,
or non just like yeah like standard teeth that you don't notice. In Arcane, you kind of do notice everyone's teeth, and I like that.
you know what always makes me a little bit sad. I myself, I'm not a big orc player, but for people who do a lot
Mhm.
of orcs and stuff, I'm always a bit sad they don't do more with the teeth. Like have some sort of
It's just like the
jewelry
two.
or piercings on the teeth, or have like cool
Not
ingrown or
piercings, not
chipped teeth.
teeth. Not piercings. Yeah, they could do jewelry though, like teeth jewelry is a thing.
Yeah, I love the idea of having like orcish cultures where it's all about teeth.
Oh my god, there's French in the chat.
Yeah, it's a French takeover.
I like orcs. I like orcs, but again, it's one of those things that's like I don't think about until it bites me, right? Until like it's right in front of me. Like I never think about having an orc OC until someone like commissions me an orc and I'm like, "Oh, like this actually looks really fucking
Wait,
cute."
this is fun. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. I get that. I feel like orcs in general are kind of like a controversial species because they are like they have such heavy stigma in a lot of fandoms. You know, like a lot of the wing orcs,
Mhm.
a lot of D&D orcs as well. So I feel like they are in this weird spot where just recently a lot of um, fandoms, a lot of franchises even started considering them as like a like a sentient player thing.
Yeah, they do kind of fall more onto like I guess the beast, right? Like you think of orc, you think of like a beast and not
Yeah,
like a full
yeah.
humanoid
It's like a very
kind of.
classical enemy, I guess.
Yeah, like an animal species. Um,
So what skin color? Orcs are French. What skin color do orcs have in your perception?
in my perception,
Yeah.
uh, green,
Alright, that's
right?
valid. I mean, that's the nowadays
That's like
classic,
what
isn't
I
it?
think about green. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, I guess if I were to create an orc or like a race that's like inspired by orcs, I probably stay away. I don't like green skin tones
Oh yeah, me
unless
neither actually. And I think it's so fun because, you know, a lot of the wing orcs are like grayish, blackish, kind of like desaturated. And
yeah, I like that.
originally D&D orcs were actually more leaning into like gray or bluish skin, and then and it's hard to say where the green orcs come from. It's a lot World of Warcraft, and I think it's a lot Warhammer.
Mhm.
But they just took over so much.
Because like I keep thinking about green orcs, but like, yeah, I like green skin tones if you're like a reptile inspired
For sure.
race, right? Where it's like you got scales and stuff like that. Like that works for me. But if it's just like a normal skin tone, unless it's like like very desaturated to the point where it looks greenish, pure green. But I guess I don't like the color green in character design like that. Like I don't mind it in the clothes, but in like the actual like skin, it feels like it's hard for me to take it seriously. I guess it feels very cartoonish to have something that's really green, but I
Yeah.
get that with like most like extreme skin tones, like like very saturated skin
Yeah.
tones
It's always
with weird
a
colors.
commitment, yeah, for sure. Purple
Yeah.
orcs from chat, yes. How
To
about
be
purple?
fair, even the purple, even like the purple, speaking of purple, and like the dark elves, right?
Yeah.
I almost regret having gone this purple. Now I have to live with this decision. But like every time I have to do like a really purple character, I'm like, ah, it could be like gray. You know, it could have been like a dark gray or like even like a purple, but like more on the gray side because this is pissing me off. But that's just like that's like from a character like a pure character design perspective. It's too much purple, you know, sometimes.
I think I'm very. It's like it's a very stupid German thing where there's a very famous content creator who has this saying. It goes dunkelviolett, ich fahr dich zu Met is what it is, and it basically means dark purple. I'm gonna I'm gonna drive you to mush, because in when it's dark purple isn't visible, of course. So
Hmm.
I don't know if purple orcs are a smart idea. I feel like it is the sneaky color, but it's also the danger color.
It's an evil color. Purple is evil.
Mhm. But that's why is purple evil? You think that's also from dark elves?
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, hmm.
Hmm.
I'm thinking because I don't actually know. Like I associate purple with evil, but like in a positive way, right? As in like I've always really liked purple because a lot of the time like things that are purple coded are also slightly evil coded. Like it's not associated. I think it's like color theory wise, like I might maybe making shit up, but intuitively, right?
I mean,
Red is associated with like anger, right? Like you've got red is usually like evil, like aggressive evil, right? Coded, you know, in terms of like what you see, things are red, you know, it's like blood color. It's a very aggressive feeling color in most people's perception, right? I know like some cultures don't really have that, but like at least like Western whatever we've got going on, red is associated with like evil aggression,
yeah,
right? And then blue is associated with like calm, right? Or like thoughtful sort of thing, right? Like dark blue. You mix red and blue together, you get purple, which is like it's got the evil from the red and the calm from the blue, so it's
it's
more like
the
calculated evil.
yeah, the
If
evil
that makes sense,
mastermind.
right?
I also think that, you know, poison is always either green or purple, isn't it? So I think that also kind of plays
Yeah,
into
yeah. Like green you associate with like almost like decay or like something that like you know like is more toxic, right? And then purple is like in this in between where it does I do think it just gets associated more with like mastermindy evil, right? And then the more we associate it with that, the more characters get made within those, you know, that framework, and the more characters get made within that framework, the more
yeah.
evil coded purple becomes.
I
So
love chat for just going like purple is very sapphic coded as well. Yeah, same.
I would say, but like I think that's like lavender, right? It's like
Yeah,
soft purple. I would
yeah.
say soft purple has a different connotation to
For
like
sure, for sure. I mean, Raphael also went poems of Sappho with
oh
lavender,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you definitely had the same idea.
yeah.
I mean, in general, I think it's really fun that purple is an evil color nowadays because kind of what Chet is also saying about the Catholic Church priests wearing purple. It's, you know, because purple was
Catholic Church is
obviously,
evil.
I mean, church is evil. That's
Exactly.
but it's also with, you know, purple being the royal color, the color of
Hmm.
kings and stuff. That's also
Yeah,
evil, obviously.
yeah.
So,
It's associated with like I guess like abuse of power and shit like
mm,
that, which is a type of evil that I fuck with.
yeah, for sure.
In fiction, you know, I like that trope. So because I don't think I like the color that much as like what it's generally coupled with, right?
Hmm.
Um, because I do tend to gravitate towards purple coded characters, or at least I used to. I don't actually know anymore. It's hard for me to tell. I don't know what I'm doing with this design. By the way, I'm just adding things.
I mean, it looks good so far.
Overall looks weak with the original royal purple fabric pigments. Yes, that makes sense. Aravos, yes.
So, out of your character skill set, what do you think is gonna come in the most handy on Sunday?
Uh, the whip.
The whip, maybe, maybe. I mean,
I
if
guess I don't know what kind, but I don't know. I don't know what to expect from Sunday. So
I mean, I'm not gonna spoil anything, because
yeah,
I can't really tell you anything. It's
yeah.
gonna
So I
be
don't know.
it's gonna be different. It's gonna be fun.
Maybe I mean, it's either agility or memory. So I guess it depends on like how much moving around versus thinking we gotta do.
I think you will definitely have opportunity to do both. We'll see. I also still need to get that wish of your
Yes,
character.
I will give you that after the stream once I've looked at them and gone like,
Alright. That's
they
fair. That's fair.
they
There's
wish
no
this.
rush. I still need wishes and fears from who else is joining us. Ollie
Ollie
is still missing,
and
I
I
think
guess
there
Sarah.
was. Yeah,
Is Sarah joining as well?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're right. So if
Isn't
either
all
of
the
them is
purple coded?
watching, you can feel called out.
Olga is purple coded, a little bit, but that's also partly evil. Like, because of like her family and stuff like that, right? Like where she comes from, like they're definitely more evil purple clothed versus other purple skinned characters. So she in particular has that purple aspect to her because of like coming from an evil family type thing. Um, and also like the type of magic she has and stuff like that, which hasn't come into play yet, but it will. Um, so yeah, and then I've got I guess I don't do color theory super intentionally. I don't think. To be fair, I don't know if like many people do that at this point. Um, but yeah, my brain definitely goes, purple. Something's shady here. Yeah.
So maybe there's something shady with Olga.
There is perhaps something shady with Olga. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Do you intend to do flat colors for Blaze?
Yes. Oh, do you have to leave at any point, by the way? Because I'm not keeping track of the time.
I mean maybe, but I think we can. I would be cool going for another hour or something. No worries. Or
I mean,
whenever.
we can do flat colors and then call it here. Once I'm done with this,
Hmm.
whatever you prefer.
Oh, I mean, I'm good. I'm all yours.
Nice. A wall to yap to, that yaps back. I have been seeing more streamers do this thing with like the collaboration stream, and I'm kind of
I mean, I think
curious
it's a bit
to kind of use it
scary.
more. I don't know. It is a bit scary. Even just streaming in general, it requires me to be in a specific sort of mindset. So like having someone else to stream with,
Hmm.
I feel like I'd need to be a lot more used to streaming, I guess. Because I stream like once or twice a week. I try to stream at least twice a week, but I often cannot. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's always an effort. It's not easy. You know what's cute about the antenna, the angular antenna? It kind of looks like an upside down martini glass if we're sticking to the cocktails.
True. Wait, was this?
Did you make a mistake about how it goes around?
Yes, I did. You didn't see. Nobody saw that.
Nobody saw. I think it even could have made sense. I'm not sure. Maybe I looked at it wrong, but I was thinking about it for a second as well.
the other arrangement, yeah. Hold up. This one doesn't please me. I need to redraw this bit.
Maybe you have to start from the back, you know, start
Yeah, there
with
you go.
how.
Like this. It works like this.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fine. Yeah. Thanks for following, by the way. Maybe this will heal my little brush crisis that I had before stream.
You had a brush crisis
That I
before
almost had.
stream.
Almost. It happens when I just see art that is really good, and I'm like, oh, I want that for me.
What
You know,
what
like
art
art
did
that
you
looks
see?
really. It's the art from that sketchbook that I got.
Hmm.
Right, hold up. I'll link the artist in the chat.
I think it's
Like-
always really interesting to speak to somebody who's like, from my perspective, amazingly talented and does very, very polished and impeccable art, and to still hear them like have like imposter syndrome.
It's not, to me, it's not imposter syndrome as much as just like I'm very aware of the things that I like and don't like as much about my art, right? And a lot of it also comes from like how it feels, right? Like it's not how it looks as much as like how it feels. And sometimes there's artists who specifically line work or like sketch work, it looks like it feels a specific type of way, right? Like I don't know if this is like hard to understand if you're like not an artist, but there's certain types of lines, certain types of shapes, right? Certain types of like anatomy control, right? Where you can just tell like that it was done with such confidence, and you can kind of feel the strokes, right? Like how they must have felt. And this is the type of artist that gets me. That it's just like I look at the work and I'm like, this looks like it was so much fun, right? Because things become more fun once you've got, you know, the right brush, better anatomy control, etc., right? And I know what that feels like, and then I look at my art and I'm like, I'm not feeling the same thing that I feel like this other person's art would feel like. Does that make sense? It's like,
It does make sense, and the artists you linked, they have amazing art. But you know, I think
right? It's,
don't you think it might be related to the fact that you're so familiar with your own art and your own brushstrokes that you just know it so
yeah, I
well?
also get bored really easily.
Yeah, because I remember like even in the like we've been working together like for 2 years, and even in that time, I think you experimented or changed your style like I think at least 3 times
Many,
I
many
noticed.
times. Yes.
Um,
It's stabilizing now. It's
mm,
slowly, like the rate at which I do that is slowly getting better. If you look at my art from like I think 2019 to 2021, 2022 was the absolute worst. Where like also because I was working on Stray Souls, right? And if you look at Stray Souls, you can see it in the comic, right? So it's like immortalized. Like all my brush crisis and all my art style crisis are immortalized in that comic. The and then it's been stabilizing. I feel like 2024 to 2025 is already a much more stable. I mean, even just looking at the Undergarden, because the first chapter was kind of done like a couple years ago,
yeah.
and you compare the art in the first chapter to the art now, it's different, but it's more different in the way of like, oh, I've like evolved, right? Or I've like, changed brush a little bit, but the style is still the same. Versus what you've got in Stray Souls, which is like it's different, but it looks like almost like two completely different people drew it,
Oh
right?
yeah, I
So it's
think I can imagine like I think I know the differences for Undergarden. I'm not probably not so sure about Stray Souls. I did read I did read it, but it's a while and I don't think I have clear visuals of the beginning. But it's probably like the thing about finding your style and polishing it, I could imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Like when people tell me, "How do you find your style?" Right? Because some especially like in like young artists or people who are just getting started, they have this idea that you have to set out and get a style, right? Like aim for a style and get it, and then there's ways to get it. Like it really isn't like that. Like that's not how it works. That's not how it works for me for sure. I just always have a style, and sometimes I get bored of an aspect of it or a brush or whatnot, and then I change it up just because I'm a little bored, and then it evolves my style with it. So that's just like natural progression, and you see that like, especially if you work on comics, you will get that. Like your style is going to change. You can't really avoid that. Or if
Oh, for
it
sure.
doesn't change, that I would almost say that's like a bad sign, right? Um, like what are you doing? You're just like drawing the same thing with the same brush every single time, right? Unless you're
Mm.
already, which happens, you're already like god tier and there's
Yeah.
nothing else to change. But
But
there's I
I
feel
don't
like there's
know
always
if an artist ever gets to the god tier point, because like as somebody who doesn't really do art myself, so I'm super amateur about that, and I probably can't really talk about it. But from an outsider's perspective, I think it's really interesting because like if you and I think you sometimes posted like comparisons between your style in 2019 and nowadays, and
Mhm.
I can see that difference. But at
Yeah.
some point, artists like because you also mentioned like differences between when you started undergarden versus now. I'm not sure if I could see that. Like
Yeah, no,
maybe if I tried really
yeah.
hard, but I
If
can
I point it out or whatever, I feel like even with the brushes that I've been using, like yes, I've changed brushes in the last 2 years, but I kind of changed to the same ish type of brush, right? And within the comic, I don't play around with shading all that much. Like it's just I try to keep it fairly consistent, or because it's comic shading, you can't go super complex. So I could point it out and be like, hey, see how like this part is blurred and this one isn't, right? Stuff like that. But with Stray Souls, one thing would happen is like, yeah, from one episode to the other, completely different. Like even
yeah.
the character designs look different because I was using a different style or brush or whatever, and that was I know at least one instance where it got really jarring, and I felt it was part of the reason as well that I kind of wasn't able to fully complete it because as I grew into a more stable style, I would look back at some episodes and some things and just be like, "Wow, this is shit." Like I don't know if I want to keep investing or like I can't feel motivated to keep investing in this specific piece of work when it's already so far like if I tell someone go read Stray Souls and they start from the beginning, like that's not a good representation of what I'm doing as an artist, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Which contributed to like kind of burning out on it a little. I feel like that's a completely common thing though. I know so many comics that change style. Yeah, no, with comics it's completely especially if it's like a long form comic. A lot of whether you like it or not, people will change their style as they're working on a comic because you just draw many hours.
And I think
Um,
especially like if you're a webcomic artist or probably a comic artist in general, like as you get more used to it, like I feel like the process is so different to like non-comic artists.
yes.
So just as you
Yeah, yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
more used to drawing your characters and paneling and drawing backgrounds and all that stuff. I don't know. Do you have somebody you work with for backgrounds, or do you do everything yourself?
I do everything myself, yeah.
Right.
For Stray Souls, I had someone to help me with backgrounds, but now
Yeah.
for the Undergarden, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I think it's really like I'm working with I think 12 artists at the moment, but I used to work with up to 20 artists for setting off, and I think only you and Penelope, who I talked about before, are comic artists.
Hmm.
And just from interacting with you both, like very shortly, you immediately get the feeling that you're just built different based on like honestly like how fast you can get a sketch down and how fast you sometimes like if you're in the zone deliver your line art and stuff because I like
Hmm.
I gave Penelope a brief of like do these 10 things and they immediately started working on it and delivered like the first finished ones within a couple days and then apologized to me like after I don't know a week or two that the rest wasn't finished yet and I was like that's like you're one of the fastest artists I'm working with. I have nothing to
Yeah,
complain about.
yeah.
And they went like, oh, but usually I'm even faster for like full on rendered commissions and stuff. And I was like, no, you're good. Like I'm working with artists who have taken half a year or more to finish something, and this is amazing.
Yeah, I feel like, to be fair, yeah, I do feel like when I hear a lot of other artists' experience, a lot of the time it's not as relatable as it could be, right? Especially when it comes to like talking about like commissions or stuff like that, right? Like people telling me they take months to finish a commission and stuff like that. That is wild to me. As in like I'm not in it like I'm not in like a critical kind of way. Like I don't have any strong feelings whatsoever about how long a commission should take, right? It's just that my natural pace, right, is the second I get a green light and I start working on it. Obviously, sometimes it takes me time to start working on it,
Yeah,
right? Like, because I
yeah,
have other things going on. But the second, like, I open a canvas, if the sketch isn't done within like 20 minutes or at least one sketch, right, then something's wrong. Like 20 minutes, an hour maximum if I'm really, really distracted. But that I have to be really fucking distracted. Like, sometimes I'm on stream and I get my hands off the canvas and I start gesturing because I'm talking, right? Unless it's that sort of thing, a sketch that takes me longer than 20 minutes, something's really wrong, no matter how big the commission is, right?
yeah.
And then from the moment the sketch is approved, the line art will take me like 2 hours tops, right? At least to have one like version of the line art that I can send over.
Yeah.
And then from the moment the line art is approved, then yeah, like an extra hour for coloring, maybe 2 hours, right? And that is assuming a multiple character sort of type of deal, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think
and
I think it really, or I can imagine. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can imagine it's really got to do with, as a comic artist having like these deadlines of pushing out new chapters all the time.
yeah, I think part of it is definitely that, especially if it's someone who's worked with something like Webtoon, right? Because even within comics, like regular web comics, even traditionally published comics and graphic novels and stuff, I think something like Webtoon sets the standards so far out of that sphere, right? Because like, I don't know, for a graphic novel, maybe you'll get like a year to do, like 100 pages or something like that. I don't actually know what the timelines are, right? But you get like these extensive sort of periods where you can sort of go back and forth. You have to have things approved. You have to, kind of there's a different pace for things, or like self-published webcomic artists, the people who used to make like 3 pages a week. I used to read a lot of webcomics, right? And like obviously these weren't professionals, as in most of them were just doing their own thing and then they did this on the side, right? Um, and to me, like 3 pages a week was a lot back then. I was like, holy shit! Like you do 3 full color pages in a week, like lines, colors, backgrounds, everything. That's crazy. Now, 3 pages is maybe about, let's say, like if each page is 6 to 9 sort of panels, right? That'd be like 18 to 20 something, like 27 panels, something like that. That is half a webtoon episode. Like at the worst case scenario, it's half a webtoon episode, right? Each
Mm.
ep- each each episode to me had to have at least 50 panels every single week, right? And I know a lot of people on Webtoon sort of sacrifice other things to get that done, right? They will like not do backgrounds. They'll like copy and paste from like like a 3D model, or they'll like I drew over 3D models for a while before I felt fully comfortable to like jump out of that, right? Because it just made things easier. I didn't have to sketch as much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They use a lot of assets, a lot of things, but I've always been attached to the idea of creating things by hand in a way. Like if I make something and I only draw a little bit of it, like from my own sort of brain, it doesn't feel like I have full ownership over it, and I don't like that personally. So in my case, it was also a matter of like I was trying to do these 50 panels per week, but I was also trying to make them be almost like 100% hand drawn by
Mm.
me, right? Except for like backgrounds, I didn't like just pay someone else to do backgrounds for me. After a bit, I was just like, yeah, I don't care for having backgrounds that look like they were drawn by me. I still want them to look like they were drawn, so they don't clash with the rest. But I don't feel emotionally attached to most of my backgrounds. And even then, I would do lines. Like I do background lines and then just let someone else color.
Yeah, yeah.
But um, working at that pace didn't just get me used to drawing faster, but it told me you can create this in this amount of time, right? And so anything, I'm always working on a comic, right? And anything that isn't a comic, it's taking up time that I could be working on a comic. So the way that I see everything else is like I need to speed everything up, right? Because this is almost like part of my comic making. Because the second this gets out of the way, I go back to comic, right? So I'm always in this state of like, there's more story to tell, there's more things to write, versus I need to create a really beautiful illustration, right? There's no such thing as like taking a break as well because there's no sense of completion because I'm constantly in this process of like putting out essentially a comic, right? And I think the
Sheesh.
mindset and the skills that you kind of work on as a sort of comic artist are both very different, right? I feel like most comic artists are just constantly in this state of like,
Hmm.
there's more stuff. There's more stuff to get out of the way, you know?
Probably yes, yes. But speaking from personal experience, I think that's like a very dangerous mentality. Actually, it's like
Yeah. I mean, I don't recommend this to anyone. Sometimes people go like, "Oh, how do you get this done?" Or like, "How did you do this while you were studying or working?" And I'm like, "I can tell you, but this isn't advice. Like,
yeah,
do not do, like do not do what I did and what I still kind of do because
yeah,
I don't think it's healthy for like 99.9% of people.
yeah, yeah.
Is it healthy for me? I don't think it's unhealthy because it's just I've always been like this. That's why I'm a comic artist. It's not the other way around. Like I didn't become a comic artist and then gain all of this insane like sense of like discipline and productivity. It was the other way around. I was already used to doing a bunch of things,
Yeah,
even outside of art, right? And like cramming everything and getting as much done, as much productivity out as possible all of the time. I had to constantly be producing something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's really
and then
crazy,
I
and I mean, Odie is saying the answer is burnout. Yes, and
yeah, I mean yeah.
I think there's even worse. I don't want to make this too dramatic or too dark, but like from personal experience, I've seen people like sacrifice their own health to meet a
Yeah.
deadline. So yeah, to all
Yeah.
the
In the
comic
comics
artists
industry, we
out
have a lot
there,
of that.
take
Yeah.
care of yourselves.
Yeah. It's not worth like your health. One of the things, there's things that, and again, this isn't from comic making, right? I feel like I had the tools before comics, and then I just apply them to comics. But for instance, I never sacrifice like physical exercise. I never sacrifice sleep, right? And I never have done it, right? Even when I was just studying and stuff like that, I could maximize the time that or like maximize my productivity while studying and while working, but I never did like all-nighters. Like I never sacrificed. I would, maybe one day or another I'm a bit too tired or the day is a bit too full and I will skip the gym, but most of the time, like I will never do that 2 days in a row unless it's like an exception. I never skip some form of physical activity, right?
Yeah,
Muscle work, etc. 2 days in a row, and this has been a thing my entire life, like even ever since like middle school, maybe. Um, I keep myself on a really tight leash, but the tight leash applies to both work and health and like things like sleep, right? I may not take time to relax because to me taking time off work gives me more anxiety in a way, right? So like I will do that sometimes, but I can't exaggerate, otherwise I will genuinely be more likely to burn out because I'm stressed because I wasn't working, right? But I will on a daily basis, I keep myself in check and those kind of things. And I know this isn't common, right? Like it's not easy, and you do need to kind of almost have grown up like this to for your body to be used to this sort of thing. Um, which is why like it's very dangerous to kind of even push for this sort of thing, right? Like webtoon type things I
yeah,
think are
yeah,
horrible, like horrible. Like I, regardless of whether webtoon has gotten better or worse, I always see it as a negative thing, right? Because if it's not pushing people to burn out, it's pushing people to put out like shit work, like ugly looking art. And I
Yeah, yeah, I get
this
that.
is me being really harsh, but it is true. Like, I don't want the standard of the industry of like webcomics and whatnot to go down just because they want to put out more work. And I also don't like seeing the amount of artists on Webtoon that get burnt out on their passion projects because Webtoon is being, a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably like a very philosophical discussion that probably goes a lot into it, but it's very much a double-edged sword, like all the consumerism. Maybe it used to be better, but I really get where you're coming from with platforms like that sucking out the
Yeah.
soul.
I mean, I was in that sphere, right? And I see the way people talk within those spaces. In
Have a
particular,
good
like,
night shift, Odie.
oh yeah, see ya. Enjoy. Well, I hope work's fine. Enjoy work. um, yeah, I think that not everyone, obviously, but there's a lot of people are within the art sphere as well, perpetuating these ideas, right? That like we should all aim to make more, and like you should cut all these corners and whatnot. Because yeah, I agree, cut corners to preserve your health, but the problem isn't that the work has to be done, right? As in, like, the problem isn't the work, it's the fact that the work is being pushed like that, right? Like, the problem isn't that you have to make 50 panels look okay. It's that Webtoon is pushing you to make 50 panels look okay in a week,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Because you could perfectly make 50 panels of a really good sort of like piece of media that gets funded and it gets pushed and whatnot and take 2 weeks instead, right? But they won't do it because money and whatnot, and
Yeah.
that pisses me off royally. It pisses me off every single day.
Yeah, I mean, there just has to be a better system for that, for sure.
Yeah, I have very strong feelings about this, but also I'm glad that I'm out of there.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
don't really want to get back into that sort of thing if I can avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad for you as well. I know this was I think preoccupying you for quite a while. So I'm glad that Stallion made made your patron successful enough for now.
Oh yeah, bless the stars. I haven't. I feel bad because I grew my Patreon a lot with the star in it, and I kind of moved on in a way. But I will say, first of all, I haven't even finished Baldur's Gate yet, so there's still that I need to get
Same,
done.
to be honest. I spent so much time into this on various playthroughs, but I've actually never.
Right?
It's
I
kind
have
of
like
shameful.
200, 300 hours in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I haven't played it. It's just like Act 3 is really bad for me, and I think my game is slightly bugged in the like Orin
Hmm.
quest, right?
Yeah.
Because I've done everything and I've looked at like playthroughs and shit, and I'm pretty sure I've done everything. It's just like it's stuck in this state of like not giving me a passcode that I need. And until I get that passcode, I can't open this fucking door to go and like see Orin.
Ah,
And I've been
Jesus.
told I just need to kill a dude. But like the game wasn't gonna tell me that, right? Like I
Yeah.
needed it needed to be like people on stream being like, have you tried just walking up to that house and killing this guy? And I still need to try that out because that may be the only way that I can finish my main playthrough.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think it's natural that there's bugs like that in a game of that scale. But yeah, I'm totally on your side when it comes to like having spent so much time in the game without finishing it. And
I still do love Astarion dearly, but I feel like I ran out of things that I can draw with him
hmm,
that excite me at the moment. I'm sure I'll maybe circle back to it at some point, but it's like
at the very
it's not
least
that.
when you get back to your playthrough, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. When I finish that game, I think I'm gonna have a little bit of like a renaissance. Like I didn't. He's like I still very much like when I look back at like Astarion and stuff, I'm like, it's my wife.
Yeah.
But I think I just also operate on like what excites me the most at the time, right? And sometimes it's like it often just circles between characters and between things. And when I'm excited about OCs, nothing can get in the way.
So
Like
what's your current hyper obsession? What's your hyperfixation? What
um
excites you?
I current Honestly, I don't have any strong like obsession right now because I am kind of like more focused on the actual comic and what's going to happen next. So I'm kind of just tapping into, hey, I haven't drawn this OC in a long time. Hey, I haven't drawn this. And then it depends on like what song I have on Spotify as well. Like if I turn on Spotify and I put on a playlist, like any playlist that has like a character song, and a lot of songs are character songs to me, then I kind of immediately shift, like violently shift to that, like that hype,
Mm.
right? Like suddenly I'm like, oh god, I have to draw this character now, or I'm gonna implode. And so that's been happening for a bit, but that's mostly because yeah, I don't have any strong fixation right now on like an OC. I mostly want to just like get these chapters out of the way because I'm excited for the chapters themselves, which in a way is the best thing that could happen to me as a comic
Yeah,
artist.
that's true.
But it also is extremely confusing because I know that a lot of my audience and a lot of my work revolves around not just the comic, like it's not just what I put out in these chapters. So I need to keep a constant stream of other things going on. Yeah.
But maybe you're gonna get an obsession with Blaze.
Maybe. I mean, I've definitely had an obsession with Michelle and Elias from the other D&D game.
Hmm.
They've been around here and there because it's a D&D game. It really depends on what goes on during the session. So it's like I'll fixate on it for 2 days and then I have to wait like a week until the next session to
I
be
get
able to
that.
like figure out what's gonna happen next. So it's a bit more restraining. I feel like post campaign, right? Or like when I get more wiggle room to do whatever without thinking, oh, is this like accurate to what happens or like could this happen, right? My delusion is really strong, so I can definitely run with anything. you know, I can run with any made up scenario in my head, but it is easier to do it when I'm in control of the setting and all of the characters as well
Yeah, yeah.
versus when it's like, you know, the game or a D&D thing, right? Where it's like, yeah, I control my character, but then the DM is responsible for what happens around that.
What responsible for what happens to Elias? There's only one person to blame.
I
Um,
would 100% run off with Elias. But I can't do it. This is not mine.
it's a shame. Um,
It's fine.
can you quickly check your stream stopped again?
Oh,
And
sorry.
at least on my end, it says that the stream was that it actually reads that the stream was stopped. So
It's like a bug thing. It might be because I'm streaming on OBS as well, and it might be
yeah,
interfering.
maybe.
But
It
I'll just check
literally
that
just
again.
happened in this second. So I'm
Oh,
also
it also happened. It also happened to your audio, so it might be like that thing that I've got
oh
where.
with the shutting off. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that might be it.
That's a really weird thing though. I'm quickly gonna pitch again. If you want to see this little guy here, if you want to see Blaze
Yes.
in action, make sure to check out our stream on Sunday, on May the 11th at I think it should be 19 at
Yeah, I was gonna say what time
7
is it?
p.m. Central European time, Central European
7
Summer Time.
p.m.
Yeah.
So my 6 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure to check that out. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. I'm very
I mean,
excited.
you should check my stream. You should be following me here anyway, so you better check this out. Are
I
we both?
I think we're
I can
gonna
go stream.
I think we're gonna both stream. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But you can still follow my stream if you want.
Yes, you can
I
still
would
give teams a follow.
appreciate that.
We could do that more often as well, like stream games. I don't know, little one shots you've got.
For sure, for sure. I mean, I am also like, if anybody from chat is excited to get into pen and paper and maybe play more pen and paper, you can go to settingofpnp.com and you'll have a little button where you can apply to play with us, to play setting off sessions with me, and you can even make a little note about who you want to play with. So if you want to play with Muff, for example, you can ask.
Like, nah, none of you guys get to play with me. Fuck that. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I mean,
Nah.
it's not
It's a
guaranteed.
nice idea. I like it. Yeah.
It's not
Cute.
guaranteed. We can see if we can make it happen. I'm going to run the applications by you.
Do you want to link and pin it? Sure. I could make an
So
announcement on my Patreon
there's
Discord as well.
there's the link. I pinned it. So yeah, you can find all the information about my TTRPG there. Everything should be linked, and all of the stream information for the coming days, both the one shot on Sunday and everything else, should be on social media somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, I advise you follow the setting off socials because I'm always slightly out of the loop
That's
by
okay.
default for everything. I exist in a dimension that it's outside of the loop for pretty much anything I'm involved with. So I may see things and reblog them sometimes, but sometimes it's just also Blue Sky notifications are shit. Like I keep
For real.
it's so bad because like it doesn't group your notifications properly, right?
It
Like,
doesn't
it's like you
group
got
them
like
and you
50
can't filter
notifications. Yeah.
them. So
Yeah, you can't filter them with like likes or mentions or whatnot. So I have to like scroll down everything
yeah,
every time I
like
open the app to see if
bless
anyone did
you
anything.
for retweeting anything like setting off posts on Blue Sky, because that's the most engagement we get anywhere whenever you retweet something. But at the same time, curse you because like when there's like 100 likes coming in and my notifications
Yeah, you
just
see
get
100,
fucking
you get
flooded.
100 notifications.
No, I have like the only app where I have disabled notification on my phone is Blue Sky. I just couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep notifications. I've considered they have this thing where it's like, oh, see only like priority notifications. I've considered having that, but like priority notifications don't even have a proper definition,
Yeah, I
right?
mean
It's like
it
it
doesn't really
just
work.
picks them at random.
I did it and I still got a bunch of like notifications I didn't want.
Yeah, so I don't like that. So if I miss things, even like in general, when people like tag me somewhere or do fan art or whatnot, like I can barely see it. Depends on like whether I'm on my phone the second it happens, and then I'm like, oh, okay, there's something on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
See ya, Chai. I hope the meeting doesn't go on for too long. Oops, that was my neck again.
So I kind of want, if you're gonna go for the full body illustration in the background, I kind of want to see the eyes.
Oh, okay, hold up. Let me. I'm gonna duplicate this. Just get the face. I haven't thought about the eyes proper.
I mean, honestly, I can imagine, if you want my 2 cents, I can imagine that the eyes are like perfectly circular and completely white. Just like really without any emotion, just like perfectly white discs. Really like the anglerfish, right?
Hold up, let's try it out. I'm gonna pull their hair back.
Like you would expect a hot Ikemen moment, pulling the hair back, and then it's just like,
This is like.
yes.
Hold up. Like weird ass nose as well. It's just like 2 holes. Perfect.
I'm quickly gonna run down and grab something to drink. You should
Mhm.
also make sure to hydrate yourself if you don't.
I got water with me. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll be back in a sec.
All right. Right, now that Tim's gone, here's the plan. Joking. I don't have a plan. Should take a break. Well, it's only been 2.5 hours. I'll probably just finish this. How are you guys doing? How are you enjoying the joint stream? I can't tell if it's more or less yap than me just sitting here on my own. How's that, rough? You got like a printer or you had a printer? I saw like a story on your Instagram about it. I considered getting a printer myself at one point when I was doing more convention stuff, but I'm glad I didn't. It would have gone severely underutilized. Although I suppose that if I had my own printer, I could just print random shit. I might actually make more things because I wouldn't need to order like a specific amount. I could just print like a couple of prints of one thing. Maybe.
I'm back. This looks
Hi
pretty
back.
good.
Hi.
I was actually thinking of like very, very small eyebrows as well.
I love almost non-existent eyebrows on characters.
Ah,
It's
they
like
are
one of my
great.
favorite design traits.
Yeah, it's definitely peak.
I got a printer, but it was a mess because I didn't order the right kind of paper. It was uncoded, so it's really, really fed up. But new ones and grab. Awesome. Yeah, that's part of the reason I never thought about getting a printer. I just know I'd fuck up persistently all the time, and then I get frustrated.
So what are you printing, Raphael? Like art prints, books? I don't know any of you. Do you know your community, MAFs?
Yes, Raf is printing prints for MCM, if
Hmm.
I'm not
Alright,
mistaken.
makes sense. Like MCM is MCM this month or next?
It's this month,
It's this month, right?
24th to 25th, something like that. 23rd, no, 24th to 26th or something. Yeah.
And are you going as well? Do you have a booth?
I don't have a booth. I'm gonna be there helping out Ling, because she got in, and then I have a friend in the UK who I haven't actually hung out with in
Hmm.
ages. Like I used to stay at his place for like the first couple of MCMs that I went to before I sort of started sorting housing with other artists. You know, when I was still, I didn't know anyone, I didn't know exactly what the vibe was, so I stayed at my friend's place, which isn't London. It's like Hartford, which is like an hour and a half away from the Excel. But he was like, "You gotta like drop by so we can actually chill because we haven't seen each other in so long." I was like, "Okay, well then I guess I'll try it because I didn't apply for MCM, but I told Ling, hey, like if you need help or something, I can,
Yeah, yeah.
I guess, assist." So I'll be there just chilling. It's to be fair, it's been a while since I've gone to a convention without tabling, so I'm kind of excited for it to just walk around, you know, because I tend to, even when I have time to walk around and I have a table, I tend to be so low on energy, or like I'm on energy saving mode, that I end up not kind of visiting anyone or
Mm.
doing really like very little, unless like there's like a very specific artist that I want to say hi to or get something from. And I feel bad about that because people come to, or like if people come to my table and then they're like, "Hey, I'm in this table," then I'll go say hi as well. But sometimes I don't, and sometimes I forget, and sometimes I literally don't go anywhere. And I'm like, damn. Then like after the fact, I'm like, oh shit, didn't go see say hi to anyone.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
get
I'm
that.
excited
But
for this.
I mean, yeah, tabling at conventions is always stressful. I hope you have a good MCM. I also hope Raf has a good MCM. I hope everything finishes in time. But yeah, I think I
MCM,
remember that.
MCM is fine, right? Actually, the
I
only issues I've had with MCM were like the card reader shit and like the Wi-Fi. That was crazy the
that's
last time.
like a. I feel like that's always a problem at conventions.
That it was particularly bad last MCM. Like I remember just everyone just had a blackout for like hours, which was as bad as I had ever caught it.
But yeah, I think I remember that Dokomi did not accept you this year,
It didn't.
which is
So
like,
Comey didn't accept a lot of like
yeah,
people that
yeah.
you know my neutrals this year.
Yeah, same. Quite a couple of friends of mine as well. So like an artist friend of myself had this hack of applying for a VTuber booth because he does have a
Oh,
VTuber, but he's mostly an artist. So he just applied as a VTuber, got a booth there instead of the artist alley,
crazy. Yeah.
and kind of just offering the same somewhere else, isn't it?
Yeah. I know some people that got in because they had like the commercial booths, right? Like the bigger ones. But aside from that, there were very few people
Yeah.
from like the people that I speak to that actually got in. Even like, you know, recurrent Dokomi. Well, I kind of understand for recurrent, right? Where it's like you want a circle, and I even understand on my case in my case because I went 2 years in a row, so it's like fine. But
Yeah.
it is a bit sad because this year I was kind of just going to I was like I'm only going to do Dokomi, right? Like I'm not gonna do MCM because I'm really fed up with like the UK
Yeah.
like customs situation. Like I really don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. I get that.
So I was like, well, you know, Dokomi's chill, maybe. But then they didn't take me, so I'm like, oh, no convention cash for Alex this year.
Yeah. But I feel like also I should really see about getting to know some of the Dokomi staff because it's such a double-edged sword, like what you're saying with you apply 2 years in a row or you were there 2 years in a row. Yes, I get the argument about changing artists, but at the same time, no, because I know a lot of people go there specifically to see the
Yeah.
artists they saw last year again, you know.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't know. V03, for instance, she didn't get in 2 years ago when I got in my first time, right? And so I was like, I gave her half my table, right? So we tabled together, but she
Yeah.
hadn't gotten in. Then she got in last year, and then she got rejected again. And we're not talking about like a small, you know, artist that like could have gotten rejected based on skill or anything. I don't know what their criteria is, but like she's really fucking good. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, sure, maybe I got accepted twice in a row. You're giving me a year break, sure, whatever. But like, there's people who didn't have that. So I'm like, what is why? What is the purpose? You
Yeah.
know?
But what Uri is saying in chat, he's the friend I just mentioned, and
Mhm.
he's one of the organizers of Shiroko, which is like a medium-sized convention in Germany.
Mhm.
We can definitely do that if you want to booth with us. Shiroko is also much cheaper than Dokumi. But I also
I
wanted to
mean,
say that, you know, if you are scared of not getting a booth at Dokumi next year, we could also see about maybe getting like one of those bigger booths as well
mhm.
and share it.
I mean, I'd be down for that, honestly. Again, I don't know what my situation is gonna be next year, but I know I'm not gonna be
Same.
applying to MCM again.
Yeah.
So I think, and I don't know about like other conventions around there, but I think Dukomi might be the convention that I'll keep applying to in terms of
I get
just,
that.
I don't
I
know.
get
I
that.
love, yeah, like I love the vibes. I like the setup. I like the artists that go as well. Like I do like walking around seeing people. So, and I like that about MCM, but MCM, the UK doesn't love me, and so
Oh
we are
no.
done. I am done with the UK. I'm sorry. It's been swell,
I get that. Yeah. It's a
but,
weird
yeah.
situation. But yeah,
Yeah, I just had to
I
like pay
think
like get a visa just to travel there, like just to go there.
yeah,
You
yeah,
need a visa now, which is really sad. I'm like,
it is really
damn.
sad. But yeah, we can depending on the situation, we can definitely keep that in mind for next year because I saw like last year I saw quite a few artists who started having like merchant booths, like these big booths, instead of
Mhm.
having to rely to the artist alley.
Yeah, the problem with that for me is like that will never be me. I don't have enough for a merchant booth. It's not even the price. Like, sure, they're more expensive than the artist alley, but it's mostly that I just don't have enough to fill up an
Yeah, but
artist's
that's
booth like
why
that.
I would I'm tabling at the world's largest pen and paper convention or role playing convention, Spiel, this year,
Mhm.
and I'm sharing a booth with a friend. So I think that's always fun. We can I don't even know what size the merchant booths are at Dokomi, depending on that. We can
Yeah.
I think in general also for other artists band together destroy the patriarchy and get big booths and share them and just split it.
I know Dokomi has rules to prevent things like that, right? So if you go to for like a merchant booth, I don't think you can share it with a different artist.
Yeah, we can
Um,
just make a big setting off booth.
yeah, exactly. If
We're
it's
just gonna
something
share
like
it with
that,
all the
they don't
setting
need
off
to know.
artists. They don't need to know.
Exactly.
You're all just staff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think ultimately they will probably be chill about that. I don't know. Conventions are such a weird thing in terms of regulation.
Yes, they are. I think
They're
in
just in their
general,
own lane.
and I mean, I feel like especially probably conventions in Germany are probably even more bureaucratic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Germany seems to like that.
Yeah, Germans do like their laws and their order.
Ugh. That is part of the reason why like I wouldn't consider Germany as a place to move to necessarily. Like I like an amount of order, but I need my Portuguese blood could never. I need some room to wiggle in a lot of things.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
get that.
Belgium and the speed limits.
Does Portugal not have speed limit?
We have speed limits.
But they are not
They're not very
enforced?
enforced.
Or,
Well, like we have fixed cameras, speed cameras in some places, right?
yeah.
And they're signaled and everything. And you got police going around sometimes, but in as a rule, most, well, I won't say most people, because actually a lot of people do just drive the speed limit. But it's not uncommon to see people drive 140, 160 on the highway, like as a default, right? Um, like 140 is kind of mostly acceptable, right? And even like it's kind of like a speed where you get to the speed limit really fast if you need to, but you're just cruising at 140, 160.
No.
Um, and there's no sense that you're gonna get caught for it, if that makes sense, right? Whereas like driving in Belgium, it's like everyone's going on the speed limit just in case there's a camera or just in case like there's police, right? Like everyone just seems to constantly think that even was it like I was driving with Odie and I accidentally crossed like a continuous line, right? Or like I was like, oh shit, like wrong exit, and I was about to get back into the other lane, and she was like, no, like don't do that. Like if you cross that line, like I'll get fined, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like obviously I know you're not supposed to cross those lines, but in Portugal it's kind of like a suggestion unless the police is really on your tail already, or like, there's a special operation going, which usually kind of also only happens around holidays and whatnot, right?
Mm.
And so I'm not saying I like disrespecting traffic laws, but would not be able to drive the speed limit all the time, allegedly.
I mean, I think that's also like, I mean, Belgium sounds lovely because of that, but at the same time, I'm somebody who strictly adheres to speed limits.
Good
And
for you.
talking about the German need to obey laws and stuff, I feel like they are very picky about what they want to obey and what they don't want to obey, because the Germans feel very strongly about their Autobahn, right? You know that.
Mhm. Yes, yes.
Um, where you don't have a speed limit, and even if there's speed limits, it's like it's bad taste to drive slower than the speed limit usually.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like people will start bullying you, and it's like kind of typical to drive like 5 or 10 over the speed limit.
Hmm.
That's like in good taste. So there's like, I feel like sometimes a few things, like German cars, trump their need for order.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because at least Germany has that, like compared to Belgium, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, and I say this from the perspective of someone who doesn't necessarily enjoy a lot of speed limits. Okay, and I respect if there's traffic or anything, right? Sure, like I accept some speed limits. I feel are a bit too low for some areas, but whatever. Like I appreciate that most people do actually respect them, because also most people don't know how to drive. I have a very strong opinion on this. But, most people aren't confident driving, or a lot of people aren't. And I appreciate that, like, when we all kind of just decide to go, not do anything stupid on the road. I'm glad most people don't do stupid things on the road. But it's like when you're like in an empty stretch of road, right? It's, let's say in Belgium, there's no car, there's nothing. It's like a full just straight line. And for some reason, I had this happen. We were like in the highway, and suddenly the speed limit was 50 kilometers an hour. I swear, like I died inside in that stretch. I was just like, what the fuck? And what is this a breach in the matrix? Like a full highway. There were two or three cars that we could see at night. And because the speed limit, for some reason, I think it was like construction or whatever, was 50. No obstacle on the road. We had to go 50 in
Mm.
like a giant ass highway. I'm just like, okay, what are we doing? you know,
I get
it's
that though.
fine.
I
It's
get that.
fine. Listen, I understand that I'm in the wrong when I say I don't like the speed limit. I don't, but I'm glad most people do.
But I also understand your road rage at like unjustified speed limits.
I
Um,
think as well because I am used to like Portugal, right? In
yeah.
Portugal again, it's like police doesn't do much here in terms of enforcing things. Like when they are in the specific operation, they'll do it, right? But other than that, traffic is very chaotic. The only reason it's not more of a problem is because we don't have those many people compared to a place like Belgium, right? Like
Yeah.
population density isn't that high, so there isn't a lot of traffic on the highway. There isn't a lot of. I mean, there's traffic in cities, and you can tell, but aside from that, you understand why there isn't a need to like
Yeah.
enforce things
Yeah.
super
Sure.
tightly.
I'm just quickly gonna answer chat. Yes, Elias is dead forever and cannot be brought
Oh.
back. We talked about this before.
Yeah, you're the
um,
second person asking that.
yeah. So the state of the game is if I understand this right, that mouth that they left on a cliffhanger. Elias is
Yes.
supposedly dead, but they are going to try their best to bring him back.
Yes, Elias rolled a natural one on a death saving throw. So, insta death for
Yeah.
my boy.
Yeah. And for the speed thing, yeah, I mean, I totally get it. I do think the Portuguese mentality is probably like like a Mediterranean mentality
Yeah,
because
it's more
you know
Mediterranean.
I'm half Italian and I drove
Oh,
to
Italy.
Italy
Italy's worse.
and in Italy a couple of times. And for somebody who's used to German traffic, it's just panic attack after panic attack. It's like the worst.
I wouldn't say Portugal is as bad as Italy from what I've seen from Italy, but it depends. It can get pretty bad, especially like if you go up to Porto and whatnot. Like driving in Porto, it's kind of like you have to pay so much attention because you never know when there's gonna be like a car stopped. Like like the road is parking lot. The middle of the road. People like don't signal anywhere, so you gotta constantly be prepared for the driver in front of you to pull some like maneuver out of their ass or like suddenly stop, right? So we don't have a lot of law enforcement when it comes to traffic, and we also don't have a lot of good drivers, so it's a match made in hell.
Sounds perfect.
So it
Before you
is.
finish that hand, just in case you want to edit, don't forget the whip. If you want to edit.
Oh yeah, no, I have the whip here. Hold
Oh,
on.
you have it. All right.
It's sketch. I just forgot.
All right.
I'm gonna put it here. But yeah, this is the one thing that I appreciate about, well, one of the things I appreciate about Portugal, I have to say. It's the fact that we are just road criminals, I guess.
So when you do
You know?
your trial one of Poland, are you gonna take your car and just drive around and see if you're gonna get stopped?
I've already driven in Poland, and Poland is a bit of a mix, I feel, because on the highway it feels a lot like Portugal in the sense that, a lot of people go the speed limit, there's more traffic, but you do see people cruising at like 140, 160. Like it's kind of, it felt familiar, right? I was
Mm.
like, okay, well, I can go this speed, but if I want to go a bit faster, I can just switch over to this lane, and I'm not going to be like speeding tremendously, right? And they've got the speed cameras as well, like, properly signaled and stuff like that, so that's okay. They do respect, from at least like in Krakow and like Warsaw and whatnot. There's more police going around, right? And there's more, even from pedestrians. There's a lot of respect for like other laws, like road laws, like you can't cross on the red light, whatnot. I think one of the biggest cultural shocks I had the first time I went there was precisely that, like, if you were at a red light as a pedestrian and there was no traffic whatsoever anywhere, nobody crosses, right? They wait for the light to go green. And I know this is probably also because it is like a big ish city, like a touristy shit or whatever. But I asked my Polish friends about this. I was like, listen, like all my Portuguese genes screaming for me to cross the road because there's no cars, right? Sure, the sign is red, but like in Portugal, it's unheard of
Mm.
to not cross. I mean, sometimes they cross when there is cars. Like you see people just jumping on the road because they think the car is going slow enough and they can still make it, right? So I'm used to that, and that like not happening in Poland was one of the first like cultural shocks I had. I was like, that's crazy. What the fuck? Then I asked, and it's apparently like, at least in Krakow, the police will fine you for crossing the road like that as a pedestrian. Like pedestrians get fined for crossing on red lights, which insane concept to me.
I
Like
get
I'm pretty
that.
sure police here, like does that. I don't think anyone even knows that it's illegal to cross on a red light.
Yeah, I
Which
mean, I do get
I
that. Like,
hate. Like as a driver, I do hate it that people don't respect red lights when they cross. But like as a pedestrian, I get it.
yeah, yeah. I don't think even German police is that strict when it comes to, like, I don't think a German police officer would fine you for crossing a red light.
Right? I think I only like found that in Poland, and I mean, I guess part of it is also like I've been told that people are afraid of cars there, which understandable. Like Poland does have a much bigger culture of like assholes driving asshole cars compared to someone like Portugal,
What?
right? Just like people with like modded cars and shit like that, just revving around and doing laps and trying to like take anything with them. I did see a bit of that, and you don't really see that in Portugal unless you go to like very specific areas. Um, so Poland also has faster cars, just in general. So I've heard people say that they're afraid of the police, and they're also afraid of actually getting run over, which fair.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
It's a mix of self-preservation on the pedestrian side and easy way to score some cash for the police. Yeah, Like I've heard this is just like what my friends told me because I was genuinely puzzled. I was like,
So do the police just like pocket the cash? What do you
I mean, I
mean?
guess they
Easy
get
way
like
to
commission,
score?
right?
Do they?
Like if I don't know. I used to think police got commission for like finding people, like if they get an X amount of fines, they get more money.
I mean, at least
But
in
I
the
don't think
countries I live in, they don't. I think the only thing is if, as a private person, you flag like you flag criminal behavior or fines or stuff like that, you report them. I think then in Germany,
really.
sometimes, I'm not sure. Don't take this for granted. This is a grain of salt. Maybe this is urban legend kind of things. But I think if this is true, if there's a country where the police gets a commission,
Yeah.
that is a bit of a problematic system.
Yeah, you're right. That is true. I mean, you can tell that in Portugal the police doesn't get commission because if they did,
Yeah.
nobody would get away with anything, and like everyone gets away with everything when it comes to like parking their cars and shit like that. Like sometimes the police is forced to actually give you a fine. Most of the time, they don't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
You can also
So.
convince them with some literal cash. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. That
All
is
right.
special.
Well.
But yeah, I'm glad I learned that really early on my like first Poland trip. I was like, oh, okay, noted. I am not going to cross the street on a red light. I
Yeah.
will numb down my urges, my natural instinct.
You going against your nature.
It really feels like going against my nature, which is really funny. Like every nerve in my body screaming, cross the road, there's no cars.
So there was actually one thing I meant to ask you as well. Do you remember the character designs you did for setting off, like the four main characters?
Yes. Hmm.
So I'm still unsure about, like, I mean they do have individual names, but I want them to have like a party name. And I was wondering if, as you drew them, or as you were designing, conceptualizing them, if you had something in mind for the Blobos.
Oh, no. I'm
No.
really bad at party names. I'm really bad at names in
Ooh.
general, but party names in particular.
Alright.
I
Alright.
don't have any. I can try and think of something, but I'm
I mean, I would be interested to hear your thoughts.
okay. I'll keep that in mind because I have a problem with naming things.
Mm. I mean, I get that. I think naming things is hard. I think everybody who's
Naming
done
things is
world
very hard.
building knows. It's like the worst.
Yeah. I even like pets and stuff. Like I'm notoriously bad at naming.
You had a
Creatures.
hamster, right? Is that still up
Yes,
to
but I
date?
didn't name him. The person who got him for me was like, "Do you want a Russian hamster? You can call him Misha."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Sure." So like the premise of me getting the hamster was already that it came
Yeah.
with a name.
Yeah. Fair.
My cat is named Lucky because I took him home and then I had to message my friend being like, "I have a cat and I don't know what to call it." And she was like, "What color are his eyes?" And I was like, "Green." And so she was like, green like a clover, right?
Yeah.
So call him Lucky because clovers are good luck." And I was like, "Okay,
Okay,
sure,
sure.
bet." I had a turtle called Turtle.
I mean,
She's still around.
she's still around. You're saying
The
that
turtle
like
is my oldest.
you're saying
The
that like
turtle
you're
is
not
my oldest
certain
pet.
where she is.
She's still around. She's at my parents' place, and she kind of just exists. Like I think she hibernates sometimes, but then the weather gets weird and she stops hibernating. Every time I go there and I like walk past the turtle, she's there, alive, and I'm sure she'll probably outlive all of us, but I don't think she does much. Yeah, Steve, for instance, I also just sent a screenshot to a friend and was like, "Hey, what do I call this dude?" And I was no, actually, I was like, "I'm gonna call him Steve," and my friend was like, call him Steve with an A, you know, like Fantasy Steve. So that's where that name comes
Yeah,
from.
yeah. So I feel like
I don't
that's a
know.
very solid choice. I feel like that's like at least half of any fantasy author is just like take a normal name, add a letter, change something up, and then you have a fantasy
Yeah,
name.
that's pretty much it, and like acronyms and stuff. I had a really funny comment on like the Undergarden on Webtoon the other day. There was someone just asking why, you know, some characters, or at least most of these characters right now, have like Slavic names. And they were like, and also like, I'm glad they all do, and that it's not like some works that I see where the main characters are called like James Bob and Andre. And I was like, who? Where the fuck have you seen a main character called James Bob?
Imagine
I'm
that's
actually,
just a single name. The
I'm
character is
tempted. I'm
called,
tempted to have a character called James Bob now, just for this person.
but no, not just James Bob Andre.
And with Ante,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the full name.
Yeah, I'm
Which
glad I'm
is
past my. Yeah.
which is a funny thing because I don't know if we actually ever talked names, but so whenever I introduce myself, my name is Tim White. I do have a full name though, which always gets everybody because my full name is Tim Bob Lucien, and
As in, like that's like three names.
yeah, that's three names.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's always such a bumpy ride because you have a pretty neutral name with Tim, then you have Bob, which is just like
Yeah, that's
white.
special.
But then you have like the friends Lucien or like Lucian in
Hmm.
English, which is again kind of cool.
Yeah,
It's like a
I
sandwich.
mean, at least it's like a set of names and not like fucking four last names like the average Portuguese or Spanish person. I feel like we've already kind of discussed this at one point.
Maybe, yeah.
I have four last names.
I mean, that's in a way impressive. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that at least one of them needs to be either Da Silva or Da Costa.
No. Well, actually, I have three last names and four words.
Alright.
But my mom has four last names and two first names. Yeah. My
Alright.
mom's full name is Rita Mafalda Rocha Sousa do Carmo Fernando.
That's
It's a whole
a
it's a
mouthful.
whole thing. Yeah, and like just for no reason as well. We all just kind of accumulate last names based on nothing but vibes and whatever our parents decided to do for whatever their reasoning was.
Imagine you're just like
Um,
collecting names, like.
yeah, like my mom has like a name from her mom and the name from her. Well, hold up.
Your mum sounds a bit like a fae.
She's got one name from my grandma, then one name from my granddad, and then for some reason she inherited two names from my dad. So she got two names from my dad. My dad has a name from his grandma, from his mom, and two names from his dad, and then he got one name from my mom, right? And then like me and my brother have two names from my dad because one comes from my granddad and one comes from my grandma, and then one name from my mom.
This
Like
does
it's
sound a
just
bit arbitrary, and
it's
this
very
sounds.
arbitrary, yeah.
So
I
is.
remember I had a classmate in like primary and middle school or primary school that he only had like three names.
I
You
was
know,
about to
first
say
name.
he only had one name, like a peasant.
No, he only had three names. It's not even like a peasant thing. It's kind of like he had three. It's just weird. He had three names, two of which were like for. No, actually, he had like one first name and then two last names, right? One from the mom and one from the dad, and they were pretty short names as well. And it just felt made up. It felt like he was called John Doe, you know? Like it
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
feel like an actual name that someone had because it was lacking like the fucking string of names. Which I hate because it never fits any form ever.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. It's like
My names aren't even short either, so
I feel like
but
that's always really interesting because I've already come across forms, in my partner has a name with an umlaut in it, and so that sometimes doesn't work. Um, and I can
Is
imagine
that the weird
with the
letter?
2 points on top of
Yes.
it. Um, and so that sometimes doesn't work. And I'm a bit amazed at how like name forms can still be so like not accommodating nowadays.
Oh yeah, I don't even the street my address like like the address that I put most things. It doesn't I can't spell it out entirely because it has, like the little wiggly line over one of the things,
Yeah.
one of the letters, and nobody likes the wiggly line if it's like anything international. So I need to just put like instead of writing the whole thing, I put like just the first letter and then a dot and then I hope that's enough
Oh
because
yeah.
otherwise that doesn't work.
So it's in Germany it's kind of convention if you have like street names because the German word for street Straße it has like
Casa.
the what how do you say it in English? Like the other symbol for two
The,
S's. I don't know if you know
yeah,
it.
yeah, the one that looks like a little bee.
Yeah, like a little B with like a little extra line in the bottom,
Yeah, yeah.
and and so it's convention to just shorten, yeah, the S Z or the sharp S, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the shit. To just shorten it so that the letter doesn't show up to make like a really short acronym, and yeah, I think it's fun how they are like, all right, but we need to call it this way, but it doesn't work on forms. Then we need to
Yeah.
shorten it. All right, we're gonna make it
I mean,
work, guys.
I can only imagine what Polish people have to go through because
Oh yeah,
if
that's
you're
true.
outside of Poland, you hear any Polish word and you're just like, excuse.
I feel like I think I actually don't know too much about Poland or about Polish, but it's one of these languages where the spelling and the speaking is very unconnected, isn't it?
Uh,
Or
I
at
wouldn't
least to a
say that.
European, at least
It
to a
looks
Western
like that,
European.
right? It looks like that. Because so instead of having like, how do I put this?
Take your time.
It's I've been told that it's basically like it's kind of it would have worked better if it was written with like Cyrillic, right? Because there's
Yeah, probably
sounds
true.
they've got a lot of sounds they put sounds together like sh and ch and stuff like that where they spell it with like SZ CZS, so it's like there's a lot of consonants in one go, and
Yeah,
when you start recognizing these sounds, right, like when you know, okay, that's sh, that's ch, whatever, it becomes easier to read. Like you're looking at it and you're like you recognize the patterns and you're like, okay, that maps to this sound. Like they do map to specific sounds that don't change. It's not
yeah,
like Portuguese where like you see the same word or letter and it sounds three different ways depending on how you put it. Like our S can sound like z, z or sh depending on where it sits, right? So Polish is more straightforward than that. It's just there's a lot going on. And if it was Cyrillic, for instance, for the sh, you'd have a single letter instead of like having like sometimes like three or four. I think it is just two most of the time, but it looks very confusing, and also because they love making words have more sh sounds than they should.
more than they should. But yeah,
Like
I it's
exactly like why would you not just name that Gregor, and you have to put Grzegorz, you know?
I think it's
Like
always fun, like because Olokar is saying like he's doing kind of great. I think it's always fun to listen to Muff speak about Poland because I feel like um
I love
I, f-
Poland.
I feel like it's always so obvious just how passionate he is
I
about
am
it.
very passionate about it. I can't even defend it, which is the funniest thing. Like if people tell me why do you like Poland, it's shit. I'm like, yeah, I bet it is. Like it's fine. Like I'm not even saying it's the best thing ever, you know. But some people, I don't know. Some people get really into learning Japanese,
Yeah.
or whatever. This is my Japanese,
So, but
Polish.
actually, in that case, I mean, I know it's not as much based in Poland. I think it's more based around Czech. isn't it? But did you play Kingdom Come Deliverance?
I have not.
You have not.
No, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Because I could kind of see that working out. It's got
I
like
think
this like Eastern European vibe going.
I think my thing as well is like growing up for some reason, and I have no explanation for this. But like me and my brother have this, which is funny because we had completely different like interests growing up. But we were exposed to a lot of Slavic influences, right? Like my favorite books, my favorite like games or like vibes or like TV shows, whatever, it usually ended up being that they had some form of like either they were like actual Slavic, right, or they were inspired by, etc., right? Even in terms of music, a lot of my music taste tends to kind of lean towards like I'll sometimes just randomly find a song that even if it is in English, it turns out that whoever created it is like Polish or something, right? So I kind of just naturally gravitate more to sort of that thing, like that vibe. I don't know what it is, right? But it just keeps happening. And my brother has a similar thing, except his taste is completely different to mine. And we're both just Portuguese. Like, there's nothing Slavic in our family ever, right? Like, our parents are Portuguese, our grandparents are Portuguese. We don't. Sure, we're not like the most typical Portuguese family. At least my parents aren't super like culturally in tune with Portugal, and neither are we. But at the same time, it's like
Oh
that
yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
where this came from, but I feel like this definitely influenced like a lot of just me and what I like, and so it didn't just come out of nowhere. Even
I think
the
it's very valid. I like no matter where it comes from. It's like, a lot of like Western or Central European people are like super obsessed with Nordic culture,
Mhm.
which I
Yeah,
also feel like really comes out of nowhere. But
yeah,
so at least you picked something interesting, you know.
it picked me.
It picked you. It's the other way
At
around.
least it's accessible, right? Like I'd have a harder time if I was like super into I don't fucking know again like Japanese culture or whatever. Like what am I gonna do with that? Nothing. But like even like my art style, right? Like a lot of art inspirations that I've got, the vast majority of people that
Hmm.
I've been inspired by have been Eastern European, right? Like Eastern European art styles, stories, vibes, etc. And so it's also not a coincidence that I know a lot of Polish people these days because I've been making friends through art, and my art is inspired in a way inspired by a lot of like Eastern European artists, and so we all gravitate towards the same ish thing.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas I have barely anyone in Portugal, Spain, etc., that actually knows my work, right? I mean,
Which
there's
is
people,
still
but
so crazy.
they're very like, it's a very small percentage of
Yeah.
my audience, like tiny, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll
yeah.
speak Portuguese and someone's like, "Oh my God, like I would have never guessed that,"
Yeah,
right?
I think we talked
Um,
about that, about like in general the Portuguese culture on conventions and stuff like that. It's just like a really different bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a completely different vibe from the sort of stuff that I'm into,
Yeah.
which is fine. It just means that yeah, I need to like go pick people, pick an audience elsewhere, basically.
Yeah. I also want to quickly clarify, obviously no hate towards Nordic or Japanese culture or people who enjoy
No,
that.
fuck that. I
It's like,
hate everyone.
oh,
I'm joking.
alright, alright. I do have like a quick question, and then I think we can actually slowly end today's
Yeah,
stream. It was
we
a lot of
can
fun.
end this.
I have one important question. What size is your canvas?
Next question.
I knew it. I noticed
It's a
in
big it's
between.
it's a big canvas for my standards.
Hmm.
This canvas is 1100 by 900 pixels.
I noticed it in between when we were working on like the full body one. Like, no, this can't be. This can't be. I
Could
saw.
be worse. It could be worse.
It
It
could be
started off
worse.
as 800, 800,
I was
800, and
about to
then I.
say because it was like 4 digits, so that's already pretty
It's
solid.
1100. It's 1104 and 900 pixels.
Yeah. So that's what I
So
meant.
if you
At
want
least one
advice in
dimension over 1,000.
how to get better at art, you work on tiny ass canvases. I tried a giant tablet this week. Like I was sent a 22-inch tablet, which is giant for me,
Hmm.
by XP Pen. and I was really afraid it was gonna mess with my workflow because there was so much space to fill. But what I did was like I kept the canvas the same-ish size, and I
Yeah.
made my color wheel take up so much space. Because like I have a 16-inch tablet, and I use about half of that area for the canvas area, and then everything else is like workspace things, right? Like brushes, etc. And my color wheel is tiny. So what I did was just like increase the color wheel, and
Yeah.
then everything else just fell into place. So even on a 22-inch tablet, I was working on my little 800
Like
pixels.
in my head, I just have like this caricature of you, like, I don't know, sitting on the ground with like a huge ass tablet as big as yourself and just like working on like the smallest amount of space.
Pretty much. I was just
I
like
love
working on
it.
a little corner. But that's just yeah. I'm the same with like paper. If you give me an A4 and you go like draw something A4 sized, I will draw something A6 sized or like
Mm.
A5 sized in the middle, and then everything else is wasted space.
Uh,
I have a set amount of like pixels that I can use.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was a lot of
Cool.
fun. If
It was very fun.
anybody
Yes.
in chat wants to see Blaze in action, again, a small reminder, we will be playing a wonderful setting of One Shot on Sunday, this Sunday, May the 11th, at 7 p.m. Central European Summer Time. Make sure to check it out. There will be more information on social media, and it's going to be a good time. And I'm very excited to see Math play Blaze.
I'm excited to play. I know you don't have rogues, but I'm excited to play a rogue-like character
You
again.
can you can play yourself. You can call yourself a rogue. You can call yourself whatever you
I haven't
want.
played a rogue in so long.
Yeah.
The urge.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Thanks for joining, Tim. That was really fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna raid someone on my end.
Yeah. Do that. All right. Well, thanks a bunch again, and have a nice evening.
Yeah, you too. This might like 6 p.m. for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining. I hope we're gonna raid Candysmon. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. I don't think I'll stream until this game on Sunday. But I'll see you around socials. I might post Blaze, to give people a little taste. And yeah, I'll see you around. Bye.
Bye bye.